Good morning. My name is JahLogic, and you're watching The Morning Rant. And with me, I have my two co-hosts, VeeSmilez and SchoolBoy.
What's up?
What's going on? Good morning. Your mic is on Teddy Riley, Vanessa. Nope, it's on the system.
Sorry. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah. So apologies, we starting off late. I had a long night, as did some of my co-hosts, I would imagine, but I'll take all the blame because my night was probably the longest. And I want to also say my apologies to Miss Ravioli. We're going to have you on tomorrow's show. Today is going to be somewhat of a short show because we started so late, and we value your time, and we know you have a day to get to as far as everybody out there who have to get to their day working and so forth. We have a few stories we want to go over as usual, and I'm going to go to the chat. Miss Ravioli says, "Wow." Listen, my bad. We're gonna have you on tomorrow. Today is gonna be a short show. Excuse me. Franchise Catering says, "Good morning, family. Good morning. Franchise Catering, aka Steph." Chris Jones says, "Good morning. Good morning to you." And yeah, Mohammed Shakur is on the check-in. Salute. Always good to see you as well, too, brother. I want to get to some donations that I received. I want to thank you guys before I even start the show. Hopefully you're watching already. I want to give a shout out to Sleazy Aki for his donation. Appreciate you, bro. And Redemption Song 76 sent a donation. I appreciate that. That's the first donation I received from Redemption, and she's such a critical thinker. I feel like we're doing something right if I got a donation from her. SchoolBoy, do you got any donation you want to address?
Yeah, man, Sleazy IQ, I appreciate it. And Aunt Clemmy, let me know. You guys should let us know in the comments what you all want to see on the show, so we can continue getting those donations in for what you want to see.
Absolutely.
That's a dope idea. Vanessa, what about you? Anything?
I did receive a donation from Rafiq. He's been one of my supporters for a long time, and he was actually surprised to see me on this show. So it was kind of dope. He was like, "Oh, SchoolBoy from Starter Morning." I was like, "Yeah, everybody's mad cool on the show." So that was it was a cool connection to have somebody who just watches my videos watch me do something else.
Right, that's what's up. We got a few more comments coming in. Louisville in the league says elbow bump. Salute. And Sleazy Aki. Yeah, man, I see you, man. Thank you again. And I don't know if Redemption is in the chat already, but once again, thank you to Redemption Song 76. And if she's not, I see in the chat, I will be revisiting that shout out. Yeah, so let me get to some of these stories we have lined up. It's always an interesting reality is always more interesting than stories sometimes. And we're gonna start with this whole coronavirus bullshit. It's not necessarily an update on like the spikes or anything like that, but it's definitely something worth taking a look into. And Sharon Stone reveals that 2 members of her family died from COVID, and
wow.
They title it "She Calls Trump a Killer" within that article. So I'm going to play the video. It seems to be a video with it, and I'm going to play the video instead of like reading the full article. But if there's still something left to be desired, I will read the article. And this comes to us from Vlad TV, and apparently the clip is coming to us via TMZ.
Mother died of COVID. My sister and her husband are fighting for their lives, and my sister is not doing well. This is the state that we're in. The only thing that's going to change this is if you vote.
Okay, so she ends that on a note talking about voting. I think it might be long on Instagram. I'll pull up the Instagram video. I don't even think they got to the part where she called Trump an actual killer. But let's check this out. I found it on Instagram as we speak, so we play the full video on Instagram, or unless it's really that short.
My grandmother died of COVID, and my godmother died of COVID. My sister and her husband are fighting for their lives, and my sister is not doing well. This is the state that we're in. The only thing that's going to change this is if you vote. My grandmother died of COVID, and my godmother died of COVID. My sister and her husband are fighting for.
All right, so as you can see, there is no longer version, but for some reason, TMZ and DJ Vlad have another account of what she said. So I'll read the article. Sharon Stone recently revealed that her family is dealing with COVID-19 in a significant way and explained the struggles and losses in a video that surfaced. Stone noted that most of her family who lives in Montana have been dealing with the virus. Along with that, Stone said her sister, who has lupus, is currently in the hospital fighting for her life. Stone's sister's husband is also in the hospital for COVID-19. Stone called out the people who didn't wear a mask near her family and got her sister sick as a result. She then called out Montana Governor Steve Bullock, who she says has been unresponsive. Then Stone called out Donald Trump, who she says is a killer, and noted Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would turn the country around with testing protocols. And then they say watch above. But we did. We tried to watch twice, and it was just a short video. But what's your thoughts on this, Vanessa?
I mean, I see that we get her point. She didn't even say more, but it's frustrating watching people blame Trump. And I'm not saying that he doesn't have a fault in this, but I feel like out of people's frustrations, they're blaming the president when, Bill Gates spoke about, and not even just Bill Gates, other people have spoken about germ warfare happening in the near future. So I feel like whoever would have been president at this time would have, caught the brunt of the blame for this. I feel like germ warfare is something that, society has known about for quite some time, and no one in society took this type of thing seriously. And this thing was going to happen, whether now or in the near future. Germ warfare and, viruses were something that were going to happen to our society. And I think that people just have a really hard time taking it. So they're pointing the blame to someone.
Schoolboy?
It's not going to get rid of COVID. Voting is not going to get rid of COVID. But at the same time, we do have to give credit where credit's due. Your boy Trump really fumbled, man. Fumbled the response to this and defunded a lot of solutions that could have kept us from losing so many lives. And I don't know, man. I think that's partially his fault. So I'm going to go ahead and let her have it.
All right, so I'm going to go to the comments. HB21 says, free Schoolboy. C. Dot says, good morning. Good morning to you, sister. HB2N also says, how does a vote cure COVID? That's, I think, Schoolboy's point, and I agree with that. And Vanessa's point that any president, whoever was president right now, would have caught the blame for it. However, he did do a horrible job. So, yeah. And then HB2N says, I don't trust white folks who tell me not to trust other white folks. Redemption Song 76, good to see you. I actually gave you a shout out earlier. I'm going to do it again while you're on the line. Thank you. I received your Cash App donation. We really appreciate your support here at the Morning Rant. And she says, good morning all. Good morning to you. So I agree with you guys, but however, there's another person who wants to blame Trump, and I wanted to hear from her side. This person is not somebody who's famous. This is just a daughter of a victim. And this comes to us from the Washington Post, which also has another video. So we're going to put the video on and see what this woman had to say. Her name is Christian, and I can't pronounce her last name, so I won't try.
As business moves forward, we're changing the way things get done. Like how we...
And of course, they want to put an ad in front of it. I got to start being better with these ads. All right, so here we go.
I'm Kristen Urquiza. I'm one of the many who has lost a loved one to COVID. My dad, Mark Anthony Urquiza, should be here today, but he isn't. He had faith in Donald Trump. He voted for him, listened to him, believed him and his mouthpieces when they said that coronavirus was under control and going to disappear. It was in social distancing
Sorry.
before it was safe. That if you had no underlying health condition, probably be fine. So in late May, after the stay-at-home order was lifted in Arizona, my dad went to a karaoke bar with his friends. A few weeks later, he was put on a ventilator. And after 5 agonizing days, he died alone in the ICU with a nurse holding his hand.
Damn.
My dad was a healthy 65-year-old.
No, he wasn't.
He was 65.
And was
Bruh.
Donald Trump. And for that, he paid with his life. I am not alone. Once I told my story, a lot of people reached out to me to share theirs. They asked me to help them keep their communities safe, especially communities of color, which have been disproportionately affected. They asked me, a normal person, to help because Donald Trump won't. The coronavirus has made it clear that there are 2 Americas. The America that Donald
One
Trump
that believes Donald Trump and the other one that
the
doesn't.
America that my father died in. Enough is enough. Donald Trump may not have caused the coronavirus, but his dishonesty and his irresponsible actions made it so much worse.
Thank you.
We
The man
need
was big
a
as
leader
hell.
who has a national, coordinated, data-driven response to stop this pandemic from claiming more lives and to safely reopen the country. We need a leader who will step in on day one and do his job, to care. One of the last things that my father said to me was that he felt betrayed by the likes of Donald Trump. And so when I cast my vote for Joe Biden, I will do it for my dad.
Oh, God.
As business moves forward, we're changing the
Okay, so she said a mouthful. She definitely blamed Trump and came from a different, vantage point. I feel like Sharon Stone, she just basically, well, we didn't hear her whole video, but it was more like she just blamed him for not doing a good job. But this woman said that her father actually believed in Donald Trump. You know what I mean? Like he was a follower of Donald Trump. And we all know earlier on in the situation, Donald Trump did say things like, this is just going to be gone and we're going to forget it even happened. And we're going to go with the summertime and the heat and all of these things. So even though it was parts of the world that were hot that were dealing with the coronavirus at the same time. So what's your thoughts on it with, in regards to this story?
I mean, a lot of presidents, when they have troubled times, they come out and they say things to soothe the people. They say things that, give people hope or whatever the case may be. I don't think Donald Trump did anything different. I mean, when we had a whole lot of Black Lives Matter issues going on when it came to Obama, he spoke as if, things will get better. He spoke as if, he was soothing the people. I really don't feel like Donald Trump did anything different. And I think that it's really messed up that only reason why people are voting for Joe Biden is just to side away from Trump. I think that it's a very, very misleading action to make because we don't know what's going to happen with Joe Biden. We can put Joe Biden in office and he could, it could be worse. We don't know. So I just feel like her stance, it's unrealistic.
Okay. Schoolboy.
So you the new Jay today. Is that what's happening today? Are you Jay Doug today?
No.
Oh my God.
No. But
What
it's
is
the
going on?
truth. It's
All right,
the
so no,
truth.
I found it pretty hilarious that she was like, my dad supported Donald Trump. And when coronavirus got announced, he went to go to a karaoke bar. I'm like, okay. It was Trump 2020, so you got sick. Now you feel betrayed.
Now you hurt.
Yo, and then she was like, oh, he was a healthy 65-year-old man.
Did you see
that
him?
man's overweight. The fuck you talking about?
And he's at a bar.
Yeah, like, come on, man. He wasn't a healthy 65-year-old. We can all, like, I look in the mirror every day and lie to myself, too. It's okay. However, it is what it is, man. He had complications from COVID because he was big, man. And And he trusted Donald Trump. So he was out there like, I don't need no mask. I don't
Yep.
never wear no mask.
Yep.
You know, out there just singing to his heart's content.
Who's
But,
to say he didn't have a Confederate flag in the back of his truck?
Yeah. Like I'm not on that whole like and then she hits us with the disproportionate effect on people communities and people of color. The hell is people of colors, man? Like, yo, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but in 2020, the only community of color that I'm like super supporting is my own. Okay. That's just how it is. And I don't have a problem with working with other people, but we've seen historically that other people will not advocate for us the way we will advocate for us. And they will take benefits from the federal government and from us and not share those with us. So I'm all the way cool with like, when people start throwing out, you know, people of color and black and brown coalition, I'll be like, what? Where? I mean, show me where, because like it's my thing. Like I see it, yeah. People will get out here and be like, I was, you know, with Dr. King and the civil rights movement, X, Y, and Z. You know, that's to me that sounds to me like, oh, this was something that was popular at the time, so I did it. But what are you doing, and what have you done to make sure that it wasn't just symbolic? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many black people are you employing? You know what I mean? Like that's important to me.
All right.
So
Well,
little rant there.
Nah, it's cool. Next time, I'm gonna start doing the thing. Like I'm gonna start having like a nice little. I'm gonna blow y'all up when y'all get it in.
Yeah, put the music on.
Yeah. Cue the music. I'm gonna make a nice little backdrop for when the rants go down.
Yeah. Gotta put the timer on that hoe, man.
Yeah.
So listen, so we got some comments in regards to the situation. So HB2N says these women are truly insane. Keenan says salute. HB2N also says he looks like a linguine eater.
Sounds about right.
And Redemption Song says the man appeared to be obese.
Appeared to be.
Yeah. So that goes in regards to her claiming that he was a healthy 65-year-old. He might have just been, in her defense, he might have just been healthy for 65. I don't know if that could have been something she was also saying, but Mom Mexico says HB2N, who knows? ? I'm still trying to comprehend how a vote can fix our communities. And they've been on that vote or die bullshit since 08. So that's in regards to HB2N's earlier question where he says, how can a vote change Corona or cure Corona? Brooklyn Honcho, salute, bro, says this message was approved by Joe Biden.
Facts.
And Amir Amaru Il says, good morning, Rant. Peace, morning, Rant. Peace to you, brother. Peace to you, good brother. HB2N says, vote out the Democratic Party for one. Pressure says, salute to all. Salute to you, Pressure. Good to see you in the chat. Redemption Song says, Clorox bleach shots anyone? And that's in regards to Trump's, one of the things he went up there and said in regards to Corona, that was just some bullshit. Talking about, you know, you can drink Clorox, possibly cure it or prevent it or whatever he was talking about. Pressure says the Democratic Party has hands in the KKK, BLM, and Planned Parenthood. You don't get no argument from me there. HB2N says, I do not believe local voting works, but if everybody voting for food stamps, it doesn't matter. Ms. Ravioli says, so she two Americans Meek Mill now? ? May her father rest as the universe sees fit. Rat USF. So I mean, I don't follow Meek Mill's too tough, but I don't know if that's something he said in regards to two Americas. But I do like to say the same thing. Like when I travel, I always feel like it's two worlds all over this country. You know what I mean? Like two worlds everywhere. But you know, every community I go to, like there's this community where everybody's fucked up in the game, and you know what I mean? It always feels like it's danger in the air, even when it's not. And then you go to communities where the police not even patrolling like that.
They ain't even around. You gotta look for the police in certain places. You're like, damn.
Exactly. And everybody's chilling and the doors are open and nobody gives a fuck, you know, and they just it seems like it's just stress free, You know,
Yeah.
even
And
though
I think he came from that America.
absolutely. Precious says fuck Biden and Harris, and HB2N says they straight cap. And we're gonna get into that in a later episode, but we're gonna let everything unfold first, just a little bit before the elections. We don't want to talk too prematurely. There's going to be a lot of things that's going to happen that we're going to need to address, and I feel like when we do unpack that, we should unpack that with, a little further in the game. Also, I want to get an interview from somebody who's from the Bay Area while we're at it, so they can give us a little bit more insight to how Kamala Harris actually helped or hurt that community. Let's just put it like that. Brooklyn Honcho says a lot of this crazy stuff and the nerve to still carry on slander for votes. That's a good point. I felt, and I didn't even get a chance to really give my feedback, but I'm just going to say I agree with you because I just felt, even though rest in peace to her father and everything, it just came off disingenuous at the end when you just kind of turn it all into a plug for the next presidential candidates. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, why wouldn't you just tell us, what you feel about Trump and leave it at that? But you're really going to plug the next presidential candidates who very well could do the same thing in his shoes? Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I would be too busy mourning to give somebody a plug.
Or at least be advocating for a cure, or be advocating for, better health procedures when it comes to this. Like, the focus shouldn't be on a political stance. It should be on healthcare and how we can actually solve the problem at hand.
Exactly. My point exactly. Laura Bell in the league says too many burritos and beer. I'm not going to make fun of the guy. He's gone. But, he definitely didn't seem like he was the healthiest 65-year-old. HB2N says he was out there too loose. Fact, he went to go to karaoke.
Yeah.
He
didn't have to go. It wasn't like he was a healthcare worker,
Right.
He didn't have to be there.
Right. And karaoke out of all things. But anyway, I'm not judging the man. He's rest in peace. Precious says respiratory aids. HB2N says, yo, I'm tired of being called colored. And that goes to what SchoolBoy was saying earlier. You got anything to say to that, SchoolBoy? I think he agrees with you on that.
Yeah, man. Like that's it's a game. Like, first of all, let me say this. I don't believe that race is a real thing. I understand that it's not science. Like, it's a pseudoscience. It's a whole social thing. It's a political class and things like that. Cool. But the fact of the matter is you can't ignore that. Because it's such a factor in this country, you have to acknowledge it and deal with it. So I don't appreciate when people say, well, black and brown coalition, this, that, and the third. I can't do it, man. I can't act like that's what it's been, because they bring other people here from other places and make them honorary white people. And then those people oppress us as well. Yep. So I'm not down with the whole coalition unless I see you doing things in my community that's directly impacting the community. You know what I'm saying? Open up your little shop. Make sure all of the folks in the neighborhood are hired before your family is. Then I know you're working with us. Otherwise, you're just pulling a check and going home.
Right. And they often wait till they're down and out before they decide to,
say,
like, let's cooperate with the.
It was when folk burning down the store. Then they're, oh, brother. But a second ago, I wasn't shit. You know what I'm saying?
In their defense, how do you think they feel, and who do you think started the dynamic of, like, say, like the ox in the store? Let me get a Lucy before I slap the shit out you.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Who do you think started that dynamic? Like, do you think it was the ox being ruled or the Chinese people being ruled first?
Yes, I do. I mean, again, the people who, come on, bro, like, that happens. That don't really happen. You notice how when the folks don't have that glass to stand behind, they're a lot more respectful. But they get that glass back there, they be throwing stuff out the damn window. You know what I'm saying? Talking to you any kind of way. And then when they do come from behind the counter, they got the tool in their hand. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're at the zoo. I got to go ahead and tame these lions. Like, come on.
Yeah. Let's get these niggers.
Yeah.
All right. Sleazyaki, salute, man. Thank you for your donation again. Says home team lives matter. Brooklyn Honcho says her father had the time of his life at that party. He paid for it with his life. Yeah. Laura Vel in the league says, agreed, schoolboy. Precious says, first the story was blacks weren't being affected by COVID, and scientists were concerned about that. Luckily, the updated says different. So we good now? Question mark. I don't think we're out of the clear.
Well, I was just gonna say this. White people wasn't gonna let that go on anyways, because that was the thing at first. Can black people catch it? Are black people, immune to this COVID-19 thing? Because it wasn't rampant in our communities. And I feel like as soon as that narrative started going, they found ways to just inject that shit into the black community. Like, even there's videos and images all over New York City of, dudes licking train poles and spitting on their hand and putting their hand down a staircase and stuff like that. So I feel like there was definitely agents sent out there to make sure that there was going to be an effect on the black community.
You know what? I did see some weird videos of some Asian lady licking her hands in the store and then like touching shit. I don't know if anybody else seen that video, but yeah. Anyway,
wow, videos.
Yeah. Franchise Catering says he was just fat in the face. Kelso says, peace, good people. Peace to you, Kelso. Good to see you in here. Good morning. Precious says, vote or die started in 2004 with Puffy, who introduced Obama to the world. Enough said. Kelso also says, shout out to the people of Hollywood who got people believing in the illusion of democracy. And I'm not the one to always get into like crisis actors, but Shorty being willing to do a plug for another, presidential candidate after her father died from following the rules of another president or the advice of a presidential candidate does seem crisis actor-ish. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, like, really? You're going to take a time off from mourning your father to giving an actual political plug? It's kind of crazy. Precious says the two worlds are covert and overt. There you go. Kelso says free Steph. Franchise says catering. Salute to Kelso. Chris says, I'm not voting this year. Democrats is a joke, as the Republicans is trying to kill off Democrats and minorities altogether by keeping to give a fuck about Trump, but his own self. I think there's a little typos in there, but I get the point. Precious says social construct at schoolboy. Then he also says nepotism, question mark. Brooklyn Honcho says, yo, Logic, on his hood shit this morning for the cigarettes. Yo, man, not for nothing. I seen Ock beat up a nigga I knew over some Lucy's and shit. So quick sidebar. So I go back to the old hood or whatever. Early in the morning and shit, I decided to chill out, get some fresh air. This is a while back. Get some fresh air before I go upstairs and visit Mom Dukes. And I see a homie I grew up with, and niggas see you and they kind of get hyped to see you. You know what I mean? So he's like, walk to the store with me. So I'm like, well, something told me no, but I did it anyway. So I go to the store with him, and he gets into a whole argument with Ock over the Lucy's. Right? Ock is telling him, yo, you owe me 50 cents. He's telling Ock, I don't owe you shit. He want 3 Lucy's for $1. Ock is like, yo, it's $1.50 now for 3 Lucy's. So they get into this whole back and forth. Long story short, homeboy disrespects the stuff in the store by like slapping some shit on the floor. Nothing crazy. Just slap some chips on the floor. Ock jumped over the counter and maced and beat the shit out of homeboy.
Whoa.
Damn.
Yo, for real.
You gotta be ready, man, because that's their livelihood, man.
Yo, I told him it's too early in the morning for this shit.
Yeah. First of all, you buying Lucy's early in the morning, they not gonna respect you.
Nah,
you not gonna buy the whole pack. Get your ass out of here.
Nah, they do that shit to niggas they feel like they could do that shit to. Yeah. If you get the right nigga in the hood, them niggas will like fold over. Like
Nah, but he was talking mad tough to Ock for like 15 minutes. I was like, yo,
I don't have time for all of that. What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
And then he didn't like, yo, jump in, but what he did say is, yo, call the cops after that.
Get your ass whipped. Then you calling for the cops. Oh, that's hilarious.
After you done came up in here starting some shit.
Right.
Yo.
Good.
Yo, I got a ox story, man. So I go into this gas station back in the day, and I go and get a case of beer. Like, this is a point in my life where I ain't got nothing. So I spent the last of my nothing on this case of beer because I was like, hey, I'm not gonna be hungry and be sober. I'm about to be full and drunk as hell in a few minutes, right? So I get this case of beer, but the box is soggy. So I pick it up, I take it to the counter, I'm trying to pay for it, and then as I move it from one part of the counter to the next part of the counter, the box breaks and shatters a bunch of the glasses, right? And I tell the guy, okay, well, some of the boxes, some of them broke, so I'm gonna go ahead and get another one. And he was like, no, you got to pay for that. And I was like, what? I'm not about to pay for no. I'm not about to pay for broken bottles, bro. And the box was soggy, so that's on you. Just give it back to the truck driver. Like if you ever worked in a restaurant before, if you take a case off the truck and break it and it's still in the box, you give it back to the truck driver and they replace it. Period. It's not that big a deal. This motherfucker tried to lie to me and tell me that wasn't true. He said, no, you have to pay for it because we're gonna have to pay for it.
So did he try to put hands on you?
No, he didn't try to put hands on me. I said, okay, so you want me to pay for these bottles? And he said, yeah, you got to pay for it. I said, so I can't just go get another one. He said, nah, you got to pay for that one. And then you got to get another one, pay for that one too. I said, okay, cool. So how about this? I'm going to take these bottles out, right? And when I put the bottle on the ground, some more of the bottles broke. So it's like 3 bottles left in there that's actually like available. I took the individual ones out and threw them as far and as fast as I could around that store, bro. All over that store. I was pissed. I was like, you want this bottle? Bam! This yo. So whole time, the guy straight from Afghanistan is sitting there with a mop. He like and they're like, sir, you know you be so mad you be blacking out a little bit. Sir, I was gunned. Then I woke up and I was like, yo, I'm over here throwing beer around the gas station. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. So,
Yo,
man.
Can I ask what kind of beer was it?
Yingling. It was Yingling, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Vanessa called it. They know who the fuck with. So Muhammad X says Schoolboy spitting that heat. And a magazine says, I just heard Canadian scientists say that weed may prevent COVID-19. Ha ha ha. That would be cool. I don't think that's the case, but that would be cool. HB2N says daughter clearly had no respect for her father. She basically sold out his legacy for a vote.
Yep.
Yep. Facts. Franchise Catering says agents equal Klansmen. Redemption Song says she was likely the lone Democrat of her family to begin with. That's true. She took the opportunity, but damn, like your father just died. Like save that political argument shit for next year's Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? Like to get out there, like HB2N said, she just sold out her father's legacy. You know what I mean? And not saying redemption that you're saying different. You're probably right. She probably was the lone Democrat of the family, but she, as that Democrat, she violated her pop's legacy, like all for her political stance. It's crazy. Kelso says, nah, at the brawl over 50 Cent, New York's pride, shaking my head. And then magazine says, if you NYC, stay off 8th Avenue, Psycho Central. Kelso says, not going to be hungry and sober. I felt that pain.
You know what I'm saying?
And HB2N says he tried to finesse Schoolboy. Hilarious. All right, so that's it for the comments right now. We're going to get into really quick. I just wanted to throw this out there. Trump, his what he's doing during all this COVID madness is he's worrying about beefing with China via social media. So as you know, he's trying to get TikTok brought out by American country. And I'm not going to even read all of this. This wanted to be the one time where we don't read the whole article or some of it. But I just wanted to read the title, and it's enough for me in this one case. Donald Trump joins TikTok's rival, Thriller, and already has 4.8 million views. So is that how it says? Is that the name of that app?
Yeah, that's
Thriller?
been it's very popular too. It's just not as popular as TikTok, but I know that the due date is coming up for because he declared a due date for an American company to purchase TikTok.
I think it was Microsoft he want Microsoft to buy TikTok.
Oh yeah, I didn't know he selected an actual company. I know that he stated he wanted it to be American owned, and that if it wasn't acquired by this due date, that he would end TikTok. But I think it's unnecessary, and I think his focus is in the absolutely wrong place. Like TikTok ain't bothering nobody. Half of the shit that we use is made from fucking China. So what is it that TikTok is owned by a Chinese company?
Nah, we got to take all that stuff back, bro. Like I don't like you. You realize that China's the manufacturing capital of the entire world.
Yeah.
We manufacture pretty much anything. It has to come through China. If we don't figure that part out, ain't no jobs. Like there's no jobs for a lot of people, in this country that really need them. So,
That's
I'm
true.
all for bringing all that manufacturing back and making it happen by any means.
The app is not much manufacturing. It's just giving app developers jobs. But first of all, I just want to say I said the name wrong. It's not Thrill. My fault. It's Trill. I think it's Triller. I'm not on the site, but I just think that right now he's on some petty shit because he's trying to combat, China with, social media companies and joining their competition versus doing what the fuck he got to do.
Yeah.
Actual country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I actually support Trump in some of these things. Like when it comes to the agreements that we've been in for a long time, NAFTA, the trade agreements with China and other countries around the world, I actually agree with the fact that we need to become more isolationist. We have an employment issue here in this country.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we work in a labor market. I always have to explain that to people. Like people are out here advocating for illegal immigrants to come here and work.
Yeah, that's wild to me. I'm
just like, why?
I'm like, you got people who are here who
their argument is always, well, they're doing stuff that Americans don't want to do.
Right. So
according to who?
Yeah.
So I do agree we need them jobs, but so to go to the other story, Mohammed Shakur says the ad is like, I know my father died, but fuck him, vote Biden. Internet says good morning to you, Internet.
Good morning, Internet.
Hey.
HB2X says laugh out loud, right? Fuck dad, vote Biden. Redemption says Facebook is coincidentally launching a TikTok competitor. So yeah, I think that's interesting. That's definitely on purpose. Probably it probably got a government contract to do that shit. But allegedly, I don't know. But magazine says TikTok/China is spying on its customers. That's why they are banning it. Must have been caught extorting people. Because everyone spies on us and remains in business. I mean, they just want to be the ones to spy on us. You know what I mean? All of this shit is spying on us at the end of the day. Mohammed Shakur says, yesterday was Garvey's birthday. It's interesting how many of us celebrate him, yet collectively we're not trying to do what is necessary to build our communities. Well, I don't know if you've seen it, but we did on this show definitely bring it up. We celebrate it in that way. And with this month being the 100th year since Garvey's conference, I want to do some more things, and I will keep you in the loop about that. This next story comes to us from Inside Edition. And it's about a story that happened about 31 years ago, but it's about a movie being taking place about this. And it's the Yusef Hawkins story. And the article goes to say, what happened to Yusef Hawkins? Look at the 1989 killing ahead of HBO's Storm Over Brooklyn documentary. It's a pretty long article. Read some of it. HBO is set out to air a documentary on called Yusef Hawkins Storm Over Brooklyn Wednesday night. And the film chronicles the death of Black teen in the white neighborhood of Bensonhurst, Brooklyn in the late 1980s. In August 1989, Yusef Hawkins, 16, and 3 friends whom he grew up in the Bed-Stuy section of Brooklyn, New York, traveled to the Italian-American section of Bensonhurst. There, they were stopped by a group of group from the neighborhood. The group from Bensonhurst was said to be harassing Black men, rumored to be dating white girls from the area, according to reports. So basically, they were jealous that dudes coming into their hood, stealing their women, and of course, racism, right? So, prosecutors said the white group attacked the 4 teenagers, and Hawkins was fatally shot in the melee. Joseph Farmer, 19, who shot Hawkins, was convicted of second-degree murder in 1990, 30 years ago. And Keith Mondello, also 19, was acquitted on that same year on the murder and manslaughter charges, but convicted 12 lesser charges, including riot, menacing, discrimination, unlawful imprisonment, and criminal possession of a weapon. And I think I actually know somebody who was part of this documentary. So we're going to see if we can get them pulled up. And Redemption Song 76 says should be interesting. I think the documentary should be interesting for sure. We're going to get into the trailer, but let me see if I can pull up the person that I believe is involved with this film. And there he goes. My man, Victorious.
What's going on?
Victorious? How you doing?
Good.
Thanks for being with us. Thanks for being with us, brother.
Yeah, man. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let me introduce my cast. That's Vanessa Smilez. That's SchoolBoy. And hold on, SchoolBoy, your mic is on Teddy Riley. And that's Victorious. Good brother, Victorious. And tell me, I know you're involved with the film, but can you tell us what your role is in this documentary from HBO?
Yeah, I'm one of the producers of Yusuf Hawkins' Storm Over Brooklyn. So that pretty much is my role. I was the first producer that was on the project.
Okay. Okay.
The idea came to me, and that, and I put it in motion. Say.
Yeah, because that was my next question. So, I know you to make films, documentary films, short films. I went to one of your screenings in LA for a short film, Love Seat, was it?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a dope time. And after that, I know you did a documentary on a jazz musician.
Right, Digging for Weldon Irvine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Digging for Weldon Irvine, which
came out last year.
Yeah, that was a great film, by the way.
Thank you.
No doubt. Thank you. First of all, thank you for being here, man. This is our first actual interview, by the way. This is our first legit interview. Yeah.
But I know you for a long time, though.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Longest time. It was like 15, 16 years.
Yeah, I think, about 15 years now. That's crazy. Nice. That's crazy how time flies and shit like that. But so once again, thank you for coming. It's the first interview. Even though I know you for 15 years, I still feel like I'm nervous in the interview because I want to do a good job with you with your interview. I know you get a lot of press right now. You're on your press run.
Yeah.
We just finished going over an article from Inside Edition. Like, you know what I mean? I'm seeing like all types of people talk about this documentary, as they should. But to go back into the older documentary you did on, not even older, it's still fresh. That's why I'm like, it's so dope that you did another one right now. But on Weldon, I'm saying it right, Weldon?
Yes, Weldon.
Weldon Irvine. That was a documentary
on
Irvine. That was a jazz musician, correct? Or is he like an all-around musician?
Yo, Weldon didn't like to be boxed into any particular genre. So, he would do gospel, he'd do what they call it jazz, but there's a movement to stop using that word jazz in favor of Black American music. Because the foundation of that word jazz just means shit, pretty much. Like talking all that jazz, whatever. And that's something that the original musicians didn't depict that genre, themselves, that was other people's word for the music. Anyway, so skipping past that, he did R&B, he did soul, and he also was Nina Simone's musical director. He was a mentor to Q-Tip and Black Star and all that. He taught Q-Tip how to play the piano.
Nice.
He rapped, he just did everything. And I hate to spoil the ending, but he died by suicide at the age 58 years old, in 2002.
Yeah, I thought it was an amazing film. I think the highlight of that film was just finding out how he actually embedded himself in the underground hip hop community in New York,
right?
And even tried to sell his own music. Like that was dope. And the fact that after Q-Tip lost all his music, he just sampled some of his music, which gave us the song Award Tour. So I thought, that was pretty far. You know what I mean?
He played keys on Umi Says. He's big part of that whole scene.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about that a little more too in retrospect to this, because we're gonna talk about people trusting you with these stories. But right now, I hear like a little bit of an echo.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah. Do you have like headphones maybe you can plug into your computer?
I do.
Yeah, I think that might cut it out. Let's try that. And while you do that, I'm going to play the trailer for the film, and then we're going to talk more about the film, Storm Over Brooklyn, playing on HBO right now.
Yusuf, he had that little spark in him. Yusuf, he had that little spark in him. He inspired his brothers. I saw it early on. My cousin's going places.
People in this post-Obama era want to look at New York in the 80s and 90s in the lens of today, don't quite understand that the racial divisions were over the top.
Bensonhurst made people say, New York is like that.
As he stopped, a bunch of white guys came around the corner, surrounded us.
Next thing I know, I hear gunshots.
David Avenue and 20th Avenue. Somebody just got shot. A bunch of white boys just shot a black guy.
I gotta ask you flat out, who killed Yusuf?
It wasn't my friends, and it wasn't me.
My son has been tried and executed only because of the color of his skin.
This should have never happened to him.
They evaluate the evidence, they'll realize it wasn't a racial case.
You'd have to be stupid to not determine that there was a racist element.
Martin Luther King used to say, make the comfortable uncomfortable and make the uncomfortable comfortable. So I said, we should march in the neighborhood.
They did not want us there, and they made that known.
It's like unbelievable how people acted out.
We're not just gonna go away quietly.
We will be back, and that is a fact. One more win has taken us.
My brother's death went down. People was yelling out his name.
So yeah, that was interesting. Victorious, I don't know if you're still there with us or you still setting up. If you're still setting up, which is what I think is going on. We're just gonna talk about the story at hand before he hops back on. What do you think about this story and it being you know, the fact that we get to hear about it in more details? Because like you said, we spoke behind the scenes, Vanessa. It's something like if you live in Brooklyn, you probably seen the mural.
Yeah, I've seen the mural and I've heard of the name, and it's sad that those situations are still going on. I went to school, junior high school in Bensonhurst. I went to South Florida Junior High School, and we had those. It's sad that like even almost 20 years later, those same issues presented itself. You know, so it's a realistic story, and people always look at the North like the North is, you know, more liberal. The North is kind of laid back. You know, people wouldn't consider the North to be so racially tense as it is, and I think that this film definitely exposes that. And I think it's really important for people to see.
Yeah, I agree. You want to mic check yourself?
My mic sounds nice. Check one.
All right, sound
My
good.
mic sounds nice. Check two. Oh, you're gonna cut off the salt and pepper? All right.
My bad.
My mic sounds nice. Check three. Are you ready?
Yeah. So
I'm born in the 70s, so you guys, you know.
And deeper than that, you know, if I don't know, can I bring up your former work?
Yeah, but I'll do like I like wrinkle my nose a little bit if I want you to knock it off. Because can I bring up your former work?
Of course.
You know what I'm talking about though. So you know. So, all right. So let's try it out. All
right. So reason I say that is because you know, when changing career paths, sometimes we have to reinvent ourselves. And you were actually a DJ first. I know you from the music industry and being I mean community as well, but you know, you being actually a great DJ. So that's why you bringing up Salt and Pepper and all that, it just kind of made me think about that.
Yeah, I used to be a DJ. I mean, I am DJ at heart, but I haven't DJed in some years.
So let's talk about you before we get back into the film. How did you go from being a DJ to being a filmmaker?
Well, you know, I always was shooting films or shooting footage, I should say, since I was like a kid. You know what I mean? even now in my crib, I got like 5 handy cams and all that. And I think it started getting a little bit serious when I was working with Joel Ortiz back in 05 to 07. And part of the things that I would do on the management team is I would film everything, like behind the scenes. I would interview them and everything, you know. So that was my my first foray to filming outside of the crew per se. You know what I'm saying? And then just like working with Shah Stimuli, you know, managing him, you know, those who ever been like hip hop management, you know, you want to get videos for your artists. And a lot of times it's the manager that kind of sets up what they paying for it, right? And they set up what they want, you know, as far as the video is concerned, the visuals. And so that was me producing and sometimes directing, and I didn't even know it, you know. And I also went to IAR, audio engineering school. I went a couple of times because they threw me out a couple of times, but I went a couple of times. You know, I learned a lot of stuff.
Right.
You know, but that kind of was like natural to go from audio engineering to
video production and film.
Right, to film, yeah, the film editing and everything. So I was watching Issa Rae, the awkward black woman, awkward black girl, I forget what it's called, on YouTube. I really dug that. And then I wanted to do my own web series, and it started from that. Web series became a short film instead, and it just like rolled from that.
That was the one that became Love Seat.
That could be that. Now it's Dirty Hearts. I don't know if you know Dirty Hearts.
Okay. So Dirty Hearts, but it was, what is that the same film? That
not Dirty Hearts was about growing up in Flatbush. Yeah.
Right, I'm bugging. It was Dirty Hearts first. That's right, and I was like chronicling different like people's stories. It felt like.
Right. After a murder in the neighborhood, someone that everybody loved got murdered, and it was like how everybody dealt with it, you know, in the neighborhood.
In Flatbush, correct?
Yeah, East Flatbush.
Yeah. All right. So then came the short film Love Seat after that.
Now, no, you asked me, so I'm gonna tell you the truth. Now, after that came Can't Wear a Wig Forever, which was a short documentary about a black woman who she had, you know, so-called natural hairstyle, and she had difficulty during interviews and all that type of stuff. And one day she wore a wig to the interview, and then she had like a vacation planned out, so she got like braid.
There you go. So
I'm back. Yeah, she got braids after that. She got a call back for the interview, and she already done wore the wig. So now she got these braids, and so she was like, "Dad, what am I gonna do? Like, I just paid for the braids. They think I look like this." And she was like, "You know, fuck it, I can't wear a wig forever." And then, you know, she didn't get the job though. She didn't get the job, but you know, that is what it is, right?
Yeah, for real.
And then came Love Seat.
Then came Love
Seat.
All right, which was a short film. So you went from chronicling. You kind of started in a documentarian style.
Yeah.
And then you did another short doc, and then from there, you went ahead and did the actual Love Seat, which was just a short film.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. And then after the short film Love Seat, which I got a chance to see, what was that in Hollywood? You played it? I think I played at a film festival.
That was in Hollywood. Yeah.
What film festival was that?
It was it was a showcase. It was the VH Herc was a Black Hollywood Herc and SE Manly showcase. Something like that.
Okay.
Pardon me, y'all, if I messed up the name.
Yeah,
but,
I'll look at it. But
it's good. Look, it was nice.
Yeah, it was real nice. It was real nice. I had a good time. I was glad I was in California at that time, so to be able to pull up.
Right.
And so then after that short film, which was a short narrative, then came the documentary on Weldon Irvine, correct?
Well, after that came one more short film. It's called La Brega, and I did that with Divine. You know Divine RBG.
Yeah.
And then came Digging for Weldon Irvine. So Digging for Weldon Irvine, I started doing that in September of 15. So while I'm working on these short films, I'm still, I'm developing Digging for Weldon Irvine. So, that alone was a 4-year process. So, I mean, you've been right all these times. Like that was next, but it didn't come out until last year. But I was kind of doing double duty. And at the same time, in 2016, in January, I got an email through my website, through the Digging for Weldon Irvine website, actually, and this guy named Charles, And he was like, someone told me to contact you about filming a documentary. So I hit him up, you know, and he ended up telling me that Yusuf Hawkins was his best friend growing up.
Wow.
And he wanted to do a film about Yusuf. And I was like, "Dad, I'm glad I'm not stush." And I answer all my emails and all that, you know, because it was like a weird little 5 cents email.
Right.
So,
that's a jewel you just dropped, though. Not
yeah.
One of my homies always said the successful people answer their emails. So
right.
if there's anybody out there who inspired to be great in, you know, business and self-employment, just we want to throw that out there while it's being said. You definitely want to answer your emails. Like even how I met Vanessa Smilez, like she answers her emails. You know what I mean? Yeah. She's not one of those females that's like, oh, who's this nigga in my inbox? You know, I'm not saying that y'all can just cloud her inbox. You're gonna know the difference between bullshit
exactly.
and business. But you know, yeah.
I mean, I said that too, but I went and found out.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know who this is, but I'm gonna find out. So basically, I was working on Digging for Walden Ravine. I already was like a year in.
Right.
So, you know, one, I was too busy to direct that. You know, on the other hand, though, it would have been my first feature-length film. So I couldn't direct it. Like, I wasn't going to take Yusuf Hawkins as, like, my first joint, you know what I'm saying, without having the experience. So I told him, like, yo, I'm going to help you find a director, but I'm going to ride with you. And Charles and I, we banged out for about 4 months just researching, getting the family's trust, as you mentioned earlier.
Right.
Finding, you know, future interview subjects. And then we talked to the guy who painted the mural last. And, you know, we got up with him. His name is Spectre. We got up with him and he retouched the mural. And then in April, I connected with Muta Ali. And I wanted him to be the editor because I'm just trying to find the crew for Charles so I could go ahead and just like go on my way. And I was like, I know a guy that could be an editor, he could be a producer. And Muta Ali, you know, he was a little bit younger and he's from Westchester County and he didn't really know about the story. So at first he was like, I don't know. Then he found out, came back, it's like, yo, if I'm gonna be down with it, that's not how he talks, but he said if I'm gonna be down with it, then I gotta direct it. And I was like, okay. And it would have been his second film. His first film was about his grandmother, Ruby D, and I liked his style, and so that was it. He brought aboard his production partner, Javon Frank, and you know we banged out for a year before anyone else got attached to it. We were filming it.
Nice.
Kind of lost you. There you go. You're back.
Yes.
Okay. So I kind of want to talk to you about what you just mentioned, as far as like one, how you went from one documentary to the next, but the thing that's common with those documentaries is people being comfortable with you telling these sensitive stories. You know what I'm saying? Like we spoke about you switching gears in your career path from going from music management to DJing, you know, to actually filmmaking. And to me, you haven't changed as a person. You still a solid dude I know from day one. You know what I mean? You haven't changed in that respect. And not saying you changed at all, but how did that is that characteristic that comes through your business sense that allows people to say, yo, let me trust him with this story? You know what I mean? Because me knowing you personally, I would trust you. I trust you with my life, right? But like these people that don't know you, how hard was it to connect with them? You know what I mean? To show who's a solid person that can be trusted with a, even with Weldon, his story is regards in how he ended his life at the end of all that in actual suicide. So it's definitely a sensitive topic. You know what I mean?
Well, one thing that sparked when you said that, trusting me with your life, you know, just want to say, those who don't know, you know, how Logic give it up. I forget. I think I might have been in Cali. I was somewhere out of town, and Logic hit me, be like, "Yo, Vic, yo, it's police outside your house right now." You know, you remember that?
I think vaguely. I think I drove by your block. I was in Flatbush, and I drove.
Yeah, they're outside right now. You know, it wasn't for me. It wasn't. Well, I don't even know what it was for, but you know, I wasn't there, so it, you know, knock on wood. So yeah, I appreciate that. But nah, like, there's a lot of no's. You know what I'm saying? Even when you look at any of my films, there's a lot of no's. A whole lot of no's. I think if you're asking about character, it's about me, you know, knocking on a whole lot of doors. My first job was knocking on doors for the Toronto Sun newspaper, actually. So I know how to knock on doors and get a door slammed in your face, you know, literally. think with Weldon's family, I had to sit down. You know, I had to meet his sisters. They grilled me. I got grilled. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't like he has nice eyes and stuff. You know, it's like, yo, what you want to tell this story for? You know, but even some people, they said no. You know, Ahmad Jamal said no. Everybody has their reasons for saying no. It ain't always because it's like it's personal. Because what's personal is their loved one. So they may have reasons why they may not want to go through all of that. But Yusuf Hawkins' story, we were fortunate that Charles knew the family already from back in the day.
He was his
so
best
yeah, right. So you know, because he used to live in Flatbush too. Yusuf, we know him for Best Star in East New York, but Yusuf also lived on Rogers and Clarkson. I just want that to be known. And
Get
actually,
outta here.
You from Flatbush?
No, I'm from East New York, but my grandmother lives on Rogers between Clarkson.
Well, there you go.
I know that block.
And that's how I was connected, because my homeboy from Church and 34th told Charles, who's from Clarkson, about me. So it was a Flatbush thing. Anyway, so moving on. Even though Charles had the relationship, we all had to build our own individual relationships with the family and with Yusuf's mother. And I think that during those conversations, you get a sense of who we are and the story we're trying to tell. And I think there were also a lot of no's to say on the Bensonhurst side. I don't know who's all seen it, as yet, but we got a couple people from Bensonhurst.
Well, I saw the trailer. I played the trailer, and I seen that you guys got somebody who's in jail for it or something like that. One of the white guys.
We got somebody that's in prison. Yeah, he's from Bensonhurst, so we he spoke, but everyone has their own reasons for speaking, right? And there are folks who cursed me out, over the phone, and folks who didn't answer. So it ain't because I'm cool and they get my vibe. You know what I'm saying? Not at all. It's just that it's everybody's mind. Whatever scenario has, a combination lock in it. You know what I mean? So it's for you to find the right words to kind of unlock that combination. And for that, you have to listen. Like any safe cracking. I know I mentioned police before, and I'm doing safe cracking now, but that's not what I'm into. But like with safe cracking, so they say on television, like you gotta listen. Also say you gotta listen to the clicks, and that's how it is with journalism. That's how it is with documentary. And Logic faded away. I hope y'all stay here with me.
Yeah, look at a quick question.
Yes, sir.
So I often hear people say that they're a producer. What is it that gives you that distinction? Is there a qualification for it that we don't, like the general public wouldn't necessarily know? I'm specifically about like documentaries and video, because I know like Logic, I see all the work he does behind the scenes to make this show happen as producing this show. When it goes to video, what credentials you as a producer?
That's a great thing. That just changed, right? So what you pulling that from is that back in the day, or up to a few years ago, you can give me $500, you're a producer. You know what I mean? Or you my man, you're a producer. So that happened a lot in the film industry, where the term producer was very ambiguous. That's one. I just want to say that Yusuf's name spelled with a U, not an E. But
let me change that. Thank you.
So the Producers Guild recently came with like some guidelines, or at least I've been recently aware of these guidelines, where it's like, okay, we done with all of this. Your man's is a producer, and there are certain criteria, right? So we have to. I'll speak on me, right? I'm doubling up that question. What I did was I took the idea from a thought, and I helped to find the director and hire the director. I assisted the director in manifesting his creative vision. I reached out and I researched and reached out and secured, along with Charles, interviews for the film. I helped the director with, I like to say, the integrity of his questions, right? Meaning that he's a person that he'll have his 20 questions. He's always going to ask around the room, what do y'all want to know? What do y'all want to hear? Whatever, I've helped the archival producer by, let's say I had to go to the courthouses downtown Brooklyn. That's kind of fun. going to courthouses and like just like get all the trial transcripts and court documents. You know, went to the Library of Congress to scan some stuff. So you know, a whole bunch of stuff. So to be a producer, you have to be very integral to the process. Now, executive producer is kind of counter what it is in music. Executive producer in film is either you paid a lot of money and you back off, or you bring something very major to the fold. And a major can be a person. The major can be a
connection,
wisdom. You know, it can be wisdom. You know,
some super wisdom though. Like they come in with that super cosign and resume. I would imagine. Victoria, you there still? All right, cool.
Yeah. I had a question because I know you mentioned that you had some situations where you had people hang up the phone or they weren't as cordial when it came to certain interviews and stuff that they were asked to do. I just wanted to know, like, how, as a producer, what is your approach to those situations and trying to move forward with your film when you came across people, I guess, who weren't that cooperative?
I don't know if you heard that. He said the link in the private
maybe
chat.
coming back. Yeah,
they grab his charger.
I'm sorry. Whoa. Look, if I want to tell the world I have my charger, I would not have put it in the chat.
Well, that's why I had to leave.
So I did hear the beginning of the question. I did not hear the end. Talking about I got cursed out. Yeah, by somebody's brother. If it's some bullshit, I'm not gonna like this. You know.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Like, what's the best approach, like, for people who might want to produce films and stuff like that when they encounter people who might not be that cooperative?
So me naturally, I don't like the phone. I don't like to talk on the phone. I'm bad with cold calls. I don't like to call restaurants for my order. I'm just funny with that. You know what I mean? I like email. So that's number one thing. I get to say all my thoughts out in email. And then I guess subconsciously, the rejection from email and rejection over the phone is two different things. That's number one. My thing is email. Now, if I'm on the phone, you know, I have to not sound like a telemarketer real quick. You know what I mean? Or like a cop real quick. It's like, you know, hello, is this Vanessa Smilez? Like, you know, it's like click. So you gotta kind of get your first 7-8 seconds out there, you know, just so they know this is not like Verizon calling for the bill or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
But there is no, like, everybody got different personality, so like there's no like one way to talk to somebody because like everybody different, you know. Sometimes you do research on the person. If you can find, depending on how famous you are, you might find an interview.
Right.
Research. Probably check their temperature before you.
Right. That's just me.
Yeah.
Like that's just me and my level of anxiety about calls. Like I might want to look at your face and kind of get a sense of who I'm talking to. Because I'm great in person, you know, but you know, so I mean, there's no way. Like when I hit up one gentleman from Bensonhurst, right? A brother of someone that was heavily involved. It was tough to get him. I called him at his job. Like, you know, that's another thing. Like, we catch somebody is tough. Like, it's either the cell, the job, or the house, and none of them is cool. None of them is cool to come with some 30-year-old stuff about a murder in the hood. That's never cool, right? I called him at the job. I speak to so and so. Yeah, who's this? Yeah, you don't know me. I'm a guy with a funny ass ethnic name. You know how you doing though? You know, and it's like from that, the dude was like, I'm gonna check out the email. That's how I'm gonna send you an email. Check out the email, and it better not be no bullshit type of thing. He was saying, like, you know, like, he was very, very aggressive, very aggressive. You know, it's important to know that, like, I think when we black people in like inner cities, we sometimes you know, people think that with the white neighborhoods they just be white and they just be chilling and or they're white and they racist. But you know, Bensonhurst is a hood. That's a hood. That's a hood.
Coney Island Projects is not too far.
Right, Marlboro and all that. That's a hood.
Yeah.
Like Chinatown is a big hood. Chinatown's a dangerous hood. Chinese.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is that we got a lot of hood prizes. You know what I'm saying? From a lot of these conversations. Nobody want to hear about talking about some black guys asking about just some black kid that got murdered in '89. I don't want to hear about that. Wow, what do you talk about that story for? That guy in jail. What you were asking me? We got TV. What? And when we got down with HBO, it got worse because now it's like they know that it's real. So yeah,
I kind of wanted to dive into that. There's a couple of things you said that I wanted to check on, but it kind of eluded me already. Kind of went over but at the same time, I do want to talk about how you as a producer. Well, first of all, I want to give you kudos, and I hope you can still hear me. I know you said it's not much about how you are as a person, but I feel like who you are and how you carry yourself was a big part of why you was referred to. You know what I mean? Why someone referred you to this guy when he said he wanted to make a documentary, because there are other filmmakers in Brooklyn and or Flatbush, but when Homeboy wanted to make a film, you was one of the first people that somebody in the community thought of, and we just lost him really quick. So I'm sure he's going to come right back, and we're going to get to your questions, but I will read some of the comments before he comes back. So Franchise Catering says, "Gotta leave them white girls alone, even as children." So yeah, back in the 80s, even 70s, like my mother used to tell me stories about how when she used to go to school in the other part of Brooklyn, how people would throw what's the word, rocks and all types of crazy shit at them when they go to like bust them to school in the other neighborhood. And Lord Vell in the league says, and they say the North ain't racist like the South bullshit. Yeah, racism everywhere. Franchise Catering says, I was a big time baller player in high school. I dated a white girl. When I was walking down a hallway, nigga was y'all. Somebody said, I guess somebody called him a nigga, and then he said something about damn Kobe. You might want to send that again. Slim says, peace and good morning. Peace, good morning to you. Muhammad Extra Cause says, Malcolm X Ben said there's some race issues up here in the North, so we should stop kidding ourselves. Virginia Slim says, anything south of Canada is the South.
Anything south of the North Pole is the South. Canada is mad racist. I grew up partially in Canada, and there were skinheads out there we had to bang out with. They chased us, we chased them. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Toronto, yeah, 100%. Don't let Drake
seem like Drake will fool you. Like,
tell you something, right?
A peaceful place.
So when people say
Drake's halfway, like he's not about to be like, yo, white people kind of suck. My mom's cool.
When people talk about Canada or anywhere being, not racist, what they mean is that white girls let you fuck and no one's tripping about it. I'm just gonna be 100. So Toronto, I know Toronto for that. White girls definitely, a lot of white girls like black boys, right? But the racism towards Pakistani people, or they call Paki, it's very, very heavy. And I saw a comment someone said I want to address about leaving white girls alone. I just want to make sure, because the reigning idea of this story, like you wiki it or you Google it and you don't see the film, it's like you think that it was about someone dating a white girl, right?
That's what the article said. It was like that. They said that people
didn't watch the movie.
Yeah, I'm like, where's the white girl? But
yeah, so Gina Feliciano was an Italian, Puerto Rican, 18-year-old, and she lived in the neighborhood, and she did date black and Puerto Rican, probably also Dominican, men. That is the truth, right? What we've been able to find through our research, which includes police interviews of everybody involved, Keith Mondello, who they call the ringleader, the one who kind of assembled a lot of the guys, and Gina never dated. Like they both denied dating. I saw some articles saying that she was his current boyfriend, girlfriend, not even like ex, current. Keith had a girlfriend, and I know her name. I ain't gonna say her name, That was not true,
Okay.
right? When I won't give the movie away, but
don't give the whole movie, but definitely.
But they have articles out there stating this, and it's incorrect.
Yeah, it's the love triangle aspect, right?
Mhm.
It's like why did Emmett Till get murdered, right?
Why?
Do we know that it was because they thought he really whistled at her, or is that what was reported? You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? Like, so it's like we have this thing, right, in America and beyond, where we can understand and grasp the concept of since the birth of a nation, right? The concept of white men killing black men and boys over white women. We got that concept down since the birth of a nation. That's an old concept, and we can digest that, right? And white America can digest that. Even liberal white America, they can digest that. They say, "Oh, it's wrong," but I understand that, you know. And so we have the first thing that the cops told the EMT when he picked up Yusef's body, you know, still struggling to live. It's like, this is racial.
Right.
You know, now the cop didn't, he didn't investigate. We don't really know if he, how he knew that, but
Right.
He probably knew the climate of the neighborhood.
it ain't take a rocket science. People were saying nigga. Now all 30 of them might not have been so-called racist, right? But to say that no one there, it doesn't make any sense. And the thing is that, we don't want to also spend too much time proving that it was racist, because that is a distraction, from the humanity of Yusef Hawkins and the lack of humanity of the person that killed him. But just that whole dating love triangle thing, that is what they pushed very, very early, and it was a tactic to kind of calm things down, which is why one of the reasons why Reverend Sharpton wanted to go to march in Bensonhurst and be like, all right, they're not racist. All right, let's go and march there and let's see what happens. And you can see from the footage, and if like that, whoever's old enough can see, can remember, is that there was not just counter protesting, because that's going to be natural. You're in my neighborhood, get out of here, it's noisy. I'm trying to go to sleep. There was a lot of watermelon was out there. There was a lot of nigga go home out there, and it's kind of like, go marching there did not make the community racist, right? But we're not going to judge the children based upon those marches. But we do see that some of them said, "Let's get the nigga. The niggas are here. Go get the niggas." Now the niggas that they say was here was Gina Feliciano was having a party, a birthday party, and she was inviting, a lot of her friends from Coney Island. They might have been roughnecks, as we would say back in the day. They made their little noise out there, and people didn't want them in the neighborhood. Be clear that there was a threatening energy, as it was back in the day. I'm having a party. A girl your neighbor was having a party. She's bringing mad guys from her school. And we don't like her anyway. And she's like, "Oh, I'm bringing my boys." And he's like, "All right, well, they come over here, they gonna get dead." So she canceled her party. But no one knew, right? She canceled the party, so they're just waiting for them to come in the schoolyard. And you see Yusef and them coming, and someone said the niggas are here. Now, the thing is, right? If they was white, if she was expecting the white crew, and just any white boys that came to the neighborhood wouldn't be like, "Oh, they here." You might investigate a little bit,
right?
But because it's like, even though there were some black children who lived in the neighborhood, it was so segregated that any group of black boys there is like, wait a minute, this ain't. Why would they be here? You know what I'm saying? It's not like downtown Brooklyn, right? You would expect all people, or even like a Park Slope, or or New Fort Greene. And Bensonhurst, back then, you kind of like now, you see four black teenagers walking around, that area, and you're gonna assume, well, these must be the guys, because who else could they be? They're black, right? And there were some that they said, "What are you guys doing over here?" One of them said, we're looking for a used car. And at that point, someone already shot Yusef. It was very quick.
Wow.
So the whole 30 of them did not, want that to happen, and 30 of them, might not have been prejudiced.
Which is why all 30 aren't in jail. Well, some people got different charges, and only one got charged with actual killing.
Right. Oh, well, no. So Joey Fama, who's in prison now, he was charged with depraved indifference murder and also intentional murder. Two different things. From what I'm told is that doesn't fly anymore in the court system, like charging someone with 3 different theories of how it happened.
Right.
But he got caught. So he really wasn't caught of the intentional murder. He really wasn't caught of being the or convicted of being the trigger person per se.
Right.
And as far as 30, like the 30 names were never publicized. The cops got a lot of pictures. There were some that informed, and there were just some that just happened to be there, but it was like said that they didn't have anything to do with the actual situation. They might not have bats. They may have stayed in the schoolyard.
Right.
As not Russell Simmons. He stayed in Bali, but stayed in the stayed in the Russell Gibbons stayed in the schoolyard. I think the guy who said the niggas are here, he might have should have been charged, but he wasn't. So that's another thing. But he the one that assumed.
Set the alarm.
Yeah, he rang the bell. The bell. And some of those guys did see Gina's friends prior to that day, so some of them knew like that's not them. These are just kids, whatever. But one thing that's not really understood is that, and it's not in the films, though exclusive. Keith Mondello, who did make phone calls to his friends to protect him, he didn't make 30 phone calls, right? He made phone calls to his friends, right? But anyone who's from the hood, you may have, A block, you got B block, and say like this all was B block stuff, right? They hung out in the schoolyard, right? That was their little hangout. Two blocks over on 18th, that was known to be the more, rugged kids, and people, lived over there. So they cocked out. They showed up to the party, but there was like a mutual, one guy knows people from both sides.
Right.
But they showed up, and it was someone from their crew was accused of doing the murder. Though both sides had a couple guns.
Oh wow.
Block B had the bats, but it was 2 different crews came and it was so fast. It all came at the same time. So as soon as Yusef and them turned the corner, it was almost too late, to explain anything. So it's part of the reason why we call it, a storm. It just so happened. The thing is that, I don't know what the rest of you, how y'all, but I know Logic, personally, I know how if that happened with us, that'd be a gang assault. Everybody going down for murder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody got murder. Everybody got murder.
30, all 30 people would have been locked
all
up.
murder.
Exactly.
Gang assault. Which is not just. That's not just though. That's not fair. But that's what it is. So that's the story. I would say watch it. It's very finely nuanced. Like, so I don't want to be, bullheaded and say that there wasn't a threat in the neighborhood.
Right.
It was a threat. Gina was a very credible threat, and she did weaponize, the fear that people have of Black and brown men. That is the truth.
Yeah.
I don't know who hated Black and brown men, in that group. I do know they use slurs, and I do know that because of the color of their skin, they were identified as the threat. Just how Ahmaud Arbery, I'm gonna flip it a little bit. It's how Ahmaud Arbery was seen as a threat because he was Black and he was jogging. So it's kind of like, yeah, you don't want people looking at people's houses and all that type of stuff, but because this person is Black, they're assumed to be this threat. They're assumed to be strong. They're assumed to be, a good fighter. And so the level of expectation of violence escalates when you hear about it's other Black men.
They make a real good point with that. You know what I mean? Because if it was somebody else of a different, ethnicity or whatever, they probably just call the cops and say, he went that way.
Well, they weren't calling the cops, but I feel. Arbery.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in other situations
Well,
like
man, they would have just tipped their hat, but like howdy or something like that.
Are you so? Is that neighborhood historically, or at that time, was it a Italian neighborhood?
Yes,
Italian, Polish,
right.
Russian.
So European immigrant.
Oh yeah.
Neighborhood.
100%.
Oh yeah, I went to school in Bethesda, and like I said earlier, like I experienced this. This is like the early 2000s, and you know they wouldn't let us in certain stores. They would say that we need an adult to come with us in certain stores. We had fights at the B6 bus stop. Most of us lived in East New York. We had fights with white girls. You know, they thought that they were gonna come at us by calling us nigga. Like all of these things. Yeah, I went to Ceplo. Yeah.
The 2000s.
Yeah, in the 2000s, I went to Ceplo, and you know, sometimes when you know your parents, when you come from certain backgrounds, your parents send you to certain neighborhoods to get a better education, to get better resources, and as a young person, you don't understand what you're encountering. You know, and that it could be the similar thing for Yusuf Hawkins. He didn't understand probably the climate of the area that he was around. And you know, you just get blindsided by these things, and it's a very, very unfortunate situation because when people look at New York, people look at New York as a free and liberal place. They look at Brooklyn as like a free place, you know, versus like being in the South. And when you're in Brooklyn, it's a lot of these pockets of neighborhoods that are very, very close together, but it's racially intense. It's really, really difficult.
Yeah, I want to tell the people in the audience, definitely throw your questions and or comments in there. We're definitely going to go over your questions before it's all said and done. But what I started to say before we lost you the first time was that I was giving you your respect for, you know, being able to be trusted with these stories, and I did say it was partially your personality and the way you carry yourself because the guy referred the best friend of Yusuf to you. You know what I mean? Somebody referred him to you when it comes to telling that story.
Right.
So
and he didn't even know me.
Right.
Like that. You don't know me like that. Yeah.
But
not twisted. Like, yeah, I'm you know me, like I'm a reputable person. You know, I'm a good guy.
That's my point exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like your name, you know, your reputation precedes you, you know, and they could have went to any other filmmaker in Brooklyn and or, you know, New York City, but
couldn't. And I'm gonna say this right.
They couldn't, but I'm saying that, you know, in retro, like, you know, he could have referred somebody else, but they referred you as my.
They couldn't. So I'm taking my props. Thank you. Right. But in our community, no one doing that though. No one in East Flatbush, right, is making documentaries like that he could point to someone, right? It's very sparse, you know. I wouldn't have got the call to be a DJ, right? I wouldn't have got the call to be, you know, rap something, but the documentarians is very sparse in my neighborhood and in the community. A lot of these films, like the Sandra Bland joint, is made by white people. A lot of jazz documentaries, white people, right? So, you know, I say that to like, yeah, true indeed, you know, people, you know, dig me. However, it is also a field that our people are very sparse in, and we're not really telling our stories. There's other folk telling our stories. And so, you know, I'm not sure if my man Nigel even knew anyone else that was working in the same field.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. So you come, I hear where you're coming from.
But yeah, I'm the man. He's the one who knew I'm the man. Yeah, I'm the man. I am the man. That's me. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm gonna take that.
Say that in the comments.
Nah, I'm saying you.
Yes,
like,
sir.
I appreciate that. I ain't gonna fight the compliment, but you know, I just wanted to be clear that, you know, that was a perfect storm as well, you know?
Right. Yeah, I definitely think we need to tell our stories more often, and I'm really happy that you're here doing the good work. I'm glad that you segue into filmmaking. It suits you perfectly. You know what I mean? You have the poise for it, you know what I mean? The integrity, the professionalism, you know, everything that carried you over so well in the previous you know, line of work that we both were into, you know, in a sense. I wasn't a DJ, but you know, I did dabble in artist promotions and marketing and, you know, event planning, which I still do. However, I want to get into, before we go to the chat, I want to get into how HBO got involved. Was that something that you a deal you brokered? They came to you? How did it work out? Like,
nah, ain't gonna me. So after a year of the four of us working on the film, we shot about 5 or 6 interviews. We already had got Mayor Dinkins, we got Al Sharpton, we got Yusef's brother, his older brother, Yusef's mother. We put together a pitch reel, And those who are in music, it's like a demo tape, you could say, you know. And we submitted to the ABFF, the American Black Film Festival. They were doing their inaugural year of this diversity initiative with a company called Lightbox, that's based out of London and LA. So Lightbox, they're known for, they did LA 92, it's a great documentary. They did the Whitney documentary. They did a whole bunch of different, Searching for Sugar Man. They did a whole lot of, you know, critically acclaimed documentaries. And we won that contest, right? So the contest prize was pretty much kind of like Crush Groove. You get a production deal with Lightbox, right? And National Geographic, 21st Century Fox, they will put money towards the development of the documentary, right? And that's what happened. So we won that, right?
Congratulations!
And thank you. Again, perfect storm, like, you know. All this was like meant to happen.
Divine timing, you know what I mean?
Divine timing and application timing, you know, putting in the application.
Yeah.
And you know, so from that we got a new pitch reel that Lightbox produced and was funded by Nat Geo. Lightbox and I don't want to keep on saying the company. So the heads of Lightbox, Jonathan Chin and Simon Chin, two brothers, obviously you can hear from the name. And you know, they shopped it around, and HBO was the home. You know, HBO was the one that understood the vision from that shopping around. HBO picked it up. This was 2018 now.
Right.
They picked it up, and you'll see that articles will say that HBO greenlighted or greenlit the project, but the project had been in production for a good grip before then.
So did they assist with producing after that, or it was basically you continued to do what you were doing and they just offered you a distribution deal?
So HBO licensed the film.
Okay.
Right. And it's seen in the USA and Canada.
Okay. So
well, let me. But Lightbox, they pretty much, they didn't take over, but they held the reins, right? Because they have so much experience. They have a big staff, nice office out there, you know, in LA. So they had all of the working parts. Now every day on the set now, it's still myself, Charles, Javon, and Muta Ali. Muta Ali still shooting camera. I'm still doing the sound. You know what I mean? So we were still all the behind the scenes photos. It's mostly just us, and there were some shoots where we did have to hire someone outside, like the drone shots you're gonna see. We hired outside, but the day-to-day it was us on the set. But you know, outside of that though, you know, it was we had this machine behind us.
So basically, is Lightbox the distributor?
HBO licensed the film.
So the only place we're going to see it now is HBO.
HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Let me tell you something. I tell them more, like, if HBO gave out platinum chains, you know what I'm saying? I chain right now, you know what I mean? But right now it's HBO. You know what I'm saying? Don't ask about no other platforms. HBO. But there's some surprises coming up. Right now, you know, HBO Max. Right. I encourage people to get an HBO Max free trial. You know, if you don't have HBO Max, 7-day trial, don't forget, because then you have to pay that $7.99, whatever it is.
Right.
But yeah, HBO. So there's no distribution to other, you know, DSPs that I'm familiar with. Right now, you gotta go to the home box office, just like back in the day. You know, my hood was Channel 6 back in the day. I don't know about you.
So they so recently they just premiered it on HBO, correct?
August 12th, 9 p.m. it premiered.
Oh wow.
It's coming on today too. I think at 4:45 p.m. Eastern Standard. I think it's coming on.
All right, just on HBO on HBO on the channel.
Is it on demand as well?
Yeah.
Okay,
good. Even if I ain't gonna give no more props to other company, but wherever you can find an HBO thing, even if it's Amazon Prime, you know,
Hulu.
Right, Roku.
Yeah, wherever you can find HBO, that's where it's gonna be.
All right, so we'll just look up Storm Over Brooklyn on the website, and we'll be able to pull it up. So that's what I'm gonna have to do myself. Comments, unless there's anything else the cast wants, anything else the panel wants to say.
Yo, I just wanted to say something really quick, and I have to run. But Victorious, man, I appreciate you being here, and I wish I could stay on. I don't want to be disrespectful or anything like that. But I really appreciate just understanding better the environment. Me and Logic have spoken about, his documentaries, and I have family members who are in documentaries, but man, it really seems like this is a medium that a lot more Black people need to get into, because there are so many stories of our community that will be lost, because that oral tradition that we have is really that documentarian work is that new griot work that needs to be done. And I'm really interested and excited about this time period and just history, and seeing young brothers like yourself, like Logic, just doing your thing in terms of documentarian work. Y'all got me motivated, because that was my dream back in the day, to be a music video director. Now it looks like the documentary is that new media, man. That's really cool.
Word.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And speaking of music videos, there's a music video we're going to play at the end that Victorious directed. And it's based on Yusef Hawkins. But so I'm just going to run through these comments, because I know both of my panel members have to go outside of myself. And
I'm out, y'all.
All right. Good. Thank you. Have a good day, Schoolboy.
Take care, y'all.
All right. So Magazine says Italians were treated like crap when they first fled to the USA. Real racists hate Italians more because they can pass for white. I was told racist Italians are brainwashed like any other races. I agree with that, but I also think that racists are brainwashed because their racism is used to keep a class system set up that's just designed to fuck the poor and make the rich get richer. So
yeah,
that's by design. Like the sister said, the city is very segregated, and Brooklyn is very segregated. You look at the map, and you have, all right, this is the Chinese neighborhood. This is the Filipino neighborhood. This is the Haitian neighborhood. So where I'm from is from Little Haiti, East Flatbush, what they call it. It's a bunch of ghettos, right? So that's by design. They did it like that. You had the poor people fighting amongst each other.
Yeah. Louisville in the league says I'm more cautious when I come up north then, and I am down south. Yes, Louisville visit us. I think over last summer, I want to say, or maybe it wasn't summer, but he visited us, came to the Rant podcast studio personally, and we kept you safe, brother. We're gonna keep you away from any crazy shit. You know what I mean? Muhammad Extracore said Yusef Hawkins got shot some months before I was born in '89. 10 years later, Amadou Diallo gets shot down by a group of police. 10 years after that, Sean Bell and his crew got blasted in a car. So yeah, and the list goes on, unfortunately. And rest in peace to all our fallen soldiers. Muhammad Extracore says, Lovell, we did. Now we know exactly who the brother was. Oh, so he's referring to earlier, Lovell put that him and Muhammad had walked by the mural, but now they know who he is.
Oh, so I just want to say real quick, we're doing a candlelight visual for Yusef Hawkins Sunday the 23rd.
Okay.
This weekend at 7:30. Members of his family is going to be there. It's going to be right at the mural on Verona Place and Fulton, which we're trying to get the street name, code name for Yusef, which you'll see in a video that Logic is going to play. So August 23rd, 7:30. Wear your masks and all that. Please bring your own candle. Bring some fire. Say your words like the candle. Get out of there so we can be distant and all that. But whoever is out there in Brooklyn, please, or Queens or Jersey, just come down August 23rd, Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Verona and Fulton and Bed-Stuy.
So Verona and Fulton.
Verona Place in Fulton. Yeah, please do.
Send me that information so I can also put it out later on in the week as well.
Okay.
Muhammad Extracore says, heard the story numerous times, but I never put a face to the date. Excuse me. Honestly, I didn't look it up because I'm tired of reading about brothers and sisters losing their life to racists. So it's an unfortunate reality, but we definitely have to pay attention to reality. But I hear you, brother. I hear you. Louisville in the league says, good interview so far. Thank you. Thank you for being on the check-in. Brooklyn Honcho says, has there been any kind of threat to your career behind making any of these documentaries? Victorious?
Who asked that question?
Brooklyn Honcho.
You got a hammer for me or something? Like my career? Nah, we don't. Nah, I'm saying nah. I mean, you know, it's early. You know what I mean? It's early. I'll tell you something behind the scenes, Logic. That I think but nah. I've been thinking about doing. I'm gonna say it here. I'm thinking about doing the Charlamagne the God thing.
Yeah,
I'm sure with that there'll be some backlash. I've been thinking about it. You know,
when you say do the Charlamagne the God, then you mean get into like radio, or you mean like writing?
Pardon me. I've been thinking about producing a documentary about the sister's accusations that she that little young sister. Right now she got something like on YouTube. It's mad dark and all that. I might be giving her a voice, but yeah, something like that. But nah, we ain't worried about that. Ain't no threats, you know. Real one don't recognize no threats, especially not in public where people can think that I feel threatened. But nah, I'm good. We good.
Yeah.
Nice.
But they said, look at my face. Look at my face. Now, we good though. That's a good question though. But nah, not at this point. And I don't think that
I think some people in the comments are saying her name. Her name is Jessica Reed.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. And pardon me for saying the sister, but you know I ain't want to blast the name. But yeah, true indeed.
Yeah.
The accuser, right. You know, something that I feel deeply about for whatever reason. So that's something that would stop me from that would be a threat to my career. You know, but with this, nah. My career is looking alright. You know, looking alright. You know, my whole crew we looking alright. HBO documentary under our belt. It's all about, you know, second film. So, you know.
And not to mention, we never been ones scary to self-distribution, self-marketing, and promotions, and walking out.
Yeah.
We never been scary over here. So
which is why I said like we banged out for like a year and a half before HBO. So we definitely we didn't wait. We wasn't gonna wait. My first film, which does not have distribution, you know, right now. The first film was all indie. We just happened to take that record deal, you could say. But yeah, great question. But nah, we good. I ain't been to Bensonhurst yet. I might go this weekend though, but
you still good because you're a Flappers dude. Like
I mean, yeah, we Flappers, but yeah.
Yo,
I mean, most of the West Indians are moving to Mill Basin anyway, so it's okay now.
So you know why? Because them houses in these Flappers is about to be the mansions of people from the Midwest and all that. As soon as they lock up all the children who was to inherit these houses and all the grandmas and mommies die and all that, you're gonna have a whole new row. Take it back.
Yep.
You're gonna take it back. You know, because they were there second. They weren't there first, as we know, but they were there second.
And then White Flight after that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I just want to salute Mills Lane. He sends me a cash app, says for ranting and producing a great morning show. Salute you, Mills Lane.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for that. I also want to point out Victorious' handle is on the screen. I'm going to put more information to where you can catch the film, but that's his Instagram handle. And I'm following you from my podcast page, but I got to follow you from my other page too, my other pages. So look out for that. Yeah, I know. My one page, I follow everybody in the other pages. Sometimes I don't do a good job at updating it. So I just focus on the Rant Podcast Studio page, but I'm going to make sure I go to the other pages and, you know, show that I'm following from all of my pages.
Your head honcho should have asked that question right there. That was the real question. Has Logic not been following you? I feel you.
Oh, man. Yes. Right. So magazine says the only threat I could think of back then would be the mafia. They got wild in the 80s and 90s. Well, there were a lot of threats. Like I said, my mother spoke of like going to other neighborhoods and people throwing rocks at her. And I even Chris Rock talks about it. Was it Bensonhurst where Chris Rock went to high school? It was definitely a white.
I don't know. I think but it was definitely somewhere near there.
If I'm not mistaken, and I could be mistaken, Chris Rock went to New Utrecht or FDR.
Oh wow! Yeah, we used to fight with New Utrecht too. There's a lot of kids.
Gravy went to New Utrecht. I just wanted to say something real quick. I know that we do have to go soon,
right?
And we don't want to derail the conversation, but I did bring it up. So her story has been told from her view and his.
When you say,
I'm reading it. Jessica Reed's story.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to that comment. We'll get to that.
No. Oh well, I just done.
Well,
all right. That's awkward. But go ahead.
You want me to pull it up now? Hold on, let me find it.
I'm sorry about that.
It's from Keenan Kong.
All right, Keenan Kong, where you at? From when he's okay. He said Jessica's story has already been told from her view and his. There you go.
Yeah, that's cool. Like you said story. You know, I mean, as a documentary filmmaker and as a journalist, that doesn't stop me. When I notice certain things about the story, I notice certain questions that I have. I notice some things that are unresolved, with me. Then I don't let that stop me from telling the story. It's like, they had Avis rent a car and they had budget. You know what I'm saying? And Yusef's story was told in 89 and 91, and they always say his name. It doesn't mean that that story that you tell as a filmmaker is not going to be any different. The story that we tell from the newspapers is very different. But also, like I said earlier, what I see from Ms. Reed on YouTube, I would like to, at very least, add to the production value of that story, because you're fighting against, a conglomerate. And, my thoughts is that I would like this to look a certain way. I like it to sound a certain way. And it doesn't have a lot of views. I like to see if I can use my platform, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's not true. But I do know that I am thinking about that hard body. But my next project won't be that. I see the question. All right.
I was gonna say it's very even what SchoolBoy said, it's definitely inspiring, because a lot of these stories, like you said, doesn't get told. And even though they may have been told in a certain form already, it's still important for someone to still tackle it, because they can bring a different light to a story and a situation. I think it's extremely important. Even my family is a well-known family in Brooklyn. We've had a lot of news stories and articles about my grandfather throughout history. But no one, and all my family sits around all the time. Well, somebody should make a documentary. Somebody should do this. And no one has ever, still to this day, come together to do something. From Brooklyn, Dr. LeGrand. Yeah,
I knew he was LeGrand. I knew he was a LeGrand. By you saying so, there's only a couple of famous families in
very few.
In Brooklyn. The LeGrands are, first of all,
that's my grandpa.
I'm on your side, right? Now look,
and all my uncles get me upset. Yeah, they get me upset all the time. That's really important story to tell. I tell all my family all the talk. Yeah.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
That's I'm in that combo.
That has to happen.
You might be able to do it. You should do it.
Oh wow. Yeah,
I should know how to do it.
Didn't put that I never met him, so I would have to definitely lean on all of the people in my family. Yeah.
That needs to be done for Brooklyn. But that is a convo that I'm telling you that I have every 4 months or so, is doing a film on the LeGrands. Really? I'm not going to do it, but yes, it needs to be done.
It does need to be done.
Maybe it should be you. Maybe it should be you.
Something to think about.
It probably should be her, and it probably should be you too, man. Maybe we made a connection here on the morning. Right?
Nah, I'm not doing that.
That's a touchy story. It's a very touchy story.
It's touchy, yeah.
Sure, maybe I could do it.
And it's weird because the Jews finally got a chance to acquire the house and stuff like that. So it's like, it's a whole lot of stuff that's going on with that. But yeah, and the more and more I grew up, I didn't like growing up in things. You don't realize certain things until you start to Google and do your research and stuff like that. You start to see things in a different light, and it's important for all of these stories, to be told, just so the younger people can see what existed before them, what to do or what not to do.
Right.
Well, I think if you definitely plugged it, so you definitely got to do it, and both of you. I don't know what your next project is going to be. I don't know if you even want to put it out there, because the way you move, I move like this too. I try not to talk about things till they're actually materialized. But you both were bold in talking about ideas that can be done. So I think speaking it also brings life to situations too. So I think you should look twice into that documentary about Homegirl, and definitely if that's your family and you get you already produce films, Vanessa. So
Oh, for real? Oh, didn't they do that? I want a little bit of I want to help a little bit, but one thing. So my past 2 films were very, very much steeped in trauma and death and all that. I'm not really trying to get into that right now.
And that's even more, right?
Right. So my next project though that I'm directing, it's a project called We Have No Leaders. And it's set in July of 64, or April through July 64.
Okay.
And you know, Malcolm just left. He left the Nation of Islam, and he's in Mecca, right? He's in Cairo actually. Adam Clayton Powell is in self-exile. You know, he's on the run, you know, from a charge. Mayor Wagner is in Switzerland at a conference. Governor Rockefeller is in Colorado running for president. And most of the civil rights leaders that we know of are all in Mississippi and all in Alabama. This was a time when they were doing a real push for the voters, you know, rights, and the 3 civil rights workers were found missing. So everybody, how people got the call to go to Ferguson, the call was to go to Mississippi, right? And then you have the civil rights bill had just been passed July 2nd, but July 1st, you had what happened is introduction of a couple of laws in New York that we know as, wait for it, stop and frisk, and no knock warrants. So this was introduced in New York in July of '64, right, as the Civil Rights Act was put into effect. You know, and we just lost the leader of the nation, you know, John F. Kennedy, you know, maybe 8 months prior. Do the math in your own head. It's November '63 that happened. And so all this happens. We have this so-called Trump-like figure, as they say nowadays, Barry Goldwater, who the KKK supported, and who, you know, Martin Luther King was like, nah, don't vote for him because he's going to turn up. And you have then the shift to the Democratic Party, because Barry Goldwater, you know, and Republican, it was like, nah, chill with that. And he split up the Republican Party. A lot of them turned Democrat because they couldn't mess with Barry Goldwater. I mean, it's all very familiar, right? And then the morning of the Republican National Convention, a 15-year-old black boy, James Powell, gets shot by off-duty cop in front of Robert Wagner High School in Yorkville. You know, he's from the Bronx. He went to summer school out there. Shot him. Said he had a knife, and what happened? You had no leaders. There was Malcolm was the leader of Harlem, right? And everybody was gone. And you have the youth who had something bubbling called the Blood Brothers, who eventually became the 5 Percenters. They were very militant. They learned from the teachings of Malcolm X, the more militant teachings of Malcolm X, and right, but just before him, you know, they just turned up Harlem for 6 days, and the police, the mayor wouldn't return right away from Switzerland, you know, and so you have the acting mayor in charge and the police commissioner in charge. The police commissioner, you know, sent the cops out there with no rubber bullets. They're firing live rounds up there, and they shot so much that on one night they ran out of bullets. They had to get a shipment from upstate to get bullets. The police department.
So a fiery year you're making a film on.
Fiery goddamn week.
Yeah, yeah.
But they call it's the first long hot summer. So you know, it's before Watts, it's before a lot of things happen. You know, it's happened in Harlem first, and then it exploded on the Bed-Stuy. It's called We Have No Leaders. So we're really focusing though on the leadership of New York and how they were kind of gone or asleep at that. And the last thing, also working on a documentary about the Four Tops. With my homeboy is a son of Lawrence Payton. So we're working on that. We already got Smokey in there. We got Mary Wilson from the Supremes in there. We got one of the Temps in there. So we're working on that. And I'm also working on a scripted drama series. I'm tired of documentary with Habiba Al-Sindor, who is the daughter of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And it's kind of like, you know, behind the scenes of the Lakers during the 80s, but from a dramatic lens. So doing all that at the same time.
So to go to the film, you said We Have No Leaders?
We Had No Leaders. Yeah.
That film, you spoke about them dropping the law at the same summer, or that same time frame where civil rights got passed. It was the stopping frisk, and the day before the stopping frisk and no
knock warrants.
Right. In your opinion, was that countering the civil rights thing that was happening, or?
So one thing you'll find in Storm Over Brooklyn and all my other films is that I'm not here to comment on or to analyze history. I'm here to tell history. So if that's what you think, then that's what you think. You might think something different after watching the film. You might think the same, but my job is not to do what they do, which was to have a summation of things that happened before, you know, I was alive, and say, well, this was in this person's mind.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the facts though, and that's all archival too. So it's not gonna be no one's opinion.
Okay.
I mean, people talking at the time. So we have like radio interviews on WNYC where you have people talking about stop and frisk, and you know, before it happened, and you tried to appeal it. It was unconstitutional. It's like all real time. So I mean, but it sounds nice what you're saying. Sound like that makes a lot of sense.
Right. But
you know,
that's fair of you to say that. So I'm gonna move on, get through these comments. I know our time is winding down. Antoinette said, did you or any of the family and friends have any input in casting for the movie? Did you reenact anything, or was it just interviews?
We didn't reenact. It's a good question. So there's a thing, the documentary is a new, to some people, it's a new form of film. So some people may look at a biopic and think a biopic is a documentary sometimes. I've heard they say when they see us, it's a documentary. So documentary is really when you have actual people do interviews, or you show archive footage. So there's no actors involved in this documentary. But I could flip that though, because it is a good question. Did family have any say so in terms of who we interviewed?
Right.
And I would say no. They didn't ask to have that type of power, which I'm glad that does happen sometimes. You do want to respect the family. We did interview the person who is in jail for depraved indifference, you know, of Yusef's murder, right? Joey Fama. So it's very sensitive to have him and to allow him to speak his piece. You also had Russell Gibbons, someone who was also on the scene. It's very sensitive to have him speak his piece. But the family, we told him we're going to tell a whole story. We told HBO that we would be telling an unbiased story. And I think that the facts speak for themselves. But no, the family did not. And I would think that anyone wants to do a documentary, you do have to have that fine line, but a strong line between yourself and your subjects, to let them know that you will do right by them, but you must tell your story.
Must
and you have to trust you for that.
All sides.
Yep.
Sometimes that don't happen. The Black Panther documentary, you know, I know Lane Brown was real mad at that. So, you know, sometimes you do have that type of beef.
All right. Lovell in the league says, white dudes always think we want their woman. It's a fantasy in their mind.
I don't know.
Magazine says, I could be wrong, but I swear the civil rights movement was started after an African boy from the North visited this down South and was dared to whistle at a white lady. He was tortured and killed.
Could be wrong. We don't know if he whistled.
Yeah.
And we don't know if they even thought he whistled. You know, they said he whistled, so we don't know.
Right.
He's a black. He was a black boy.
At the end of the day.
That's what we have. Yeah.
HB2N says that's the narrative.
That's the narrative.
HB2N also says, mind you, KKK was created by Democrats to turn blacks liberal. Before blacks and whites were cool. HB2N says,
I don't know.
HB2N says just separate. He also says JFK was the first liberal blacks voted for a reason.
Yeah, that reason is because MLK was locked up and Nixon ain't check him out, and JFK did. That is what started that. And then with LBJ, it still was a debate within the black community. You know, are we going to? So I have a clip of my new film where it's like Dr. King, are black people now or Negroes now going to shift from the Republican Party? Right? I have that footage. So you you're close, but the reason, you know, why it happened is not what Kanye be saying. Like, you know, some of this more intricate, but MLK sat in jail and the Democrats did the right thing. And as far as checking on Coretta and checking on him, and Republicans didn't do that. And so that was the first, like, okay. And then with LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson, if he didn't further Kennedy's civil rights stuff, you know, then he might not have won. Blacks may have abstained the vote that year.
All right. Magazine says JFK was president because of one thing, the mafia.
I don't know. Mafia don't exist. I don't know nothing about no mafia. I don't know about no crime.
Miss Varioli says AA Mel asked me about someone recruiting him for a job located in Nebraska. I think she meant A Mel. not AA, but the conversation moved towards racism. He was unaware of any northern racists. Traveling the USA via a road trip is a must.
But bring your pistol.
Kenny Hager says peace, fam. Salute to you, Kenny. Magazine also says watch that movie A Bronx Tale to get a better idea of how it was. Mohammed Shakur says also this. Okay. To this comment or the last?
Yeah, but so that's true. That'll give you a better idea. 89 was different than the 60s in terms of what we were doing to white people in black neighborhoods. Because Bronx tells both of those stories. Like White Boy Go Home. Our people have stopped messing with white people in our community a long time ago. We learned from that. That's one. So yeah, 100%. Not a contradict. Bronx Tales, where you can see that actual visual, visual of what it is like when you cross those borders. But again, I'm gonna constantly find disunity with any example that depicts interracial dating as the source of the ire between blacks and whites. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. But any story that has to do with that is like we just can't keep on having stories that have to do with black people dating white people. We just can't keep on having those stories because there's so much more to why we're getting killed than what's been told, time and time again. The whole Romeo and Juliet type of thing.
Right. Mohammed Shakur says also there's some sports in Brooklyn that's considered some spots, in Brooklyn that's considered sundown towns.
For everybody. Brownsville is one of those two.
He's from Brownsville, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Brooklyn Honcho says, I went to John Dewey and I felt an imaginary line that shouldn't be crossed over there.
Class of what? Class of what, Honcho? I want to know. One of the people in the film went to Dewey, and my uncle went to Dewey too. I wonder what year you went. But yeah.
Lord Velnalik says we should control and support our own stories. That's a fact. And Muhammad agrees. Muhammad also says, hell, there's spots all over NYC that's considered sundown towns.
Facts.
Mills Lane says, peace, ranters in the chat. Peace to you. And thank you for that donation again, brother. Magazine says, yeah, these sundown towns are not all white anymore. They are all over the place in NYC that were protected during the quarantine and riots. Low-income hoods were destroyed. Lord Velnalik says, I'll support the brother because that's the only documentary or material that's worth watching on HBO Max.
Nah, can't say that. That on the record. Not, though. Watch that on the record with that Russell Simmons. Watch that Russell Simmons joint.
I was watching Lovecraft Country last night. That's actually very very good.
HB2N says, so true. It needs to be more black docs.
Yeah.
Muhammad is talking to a magazine, says he's aware. HB2N also says, damn, schoolboy, why are you talking about your dreams knowing your baby mama is watching? Schoolboy.
That is hilarious. Now I know him. That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
Schoolboy, if you're in the chat, take notes. Take notes. Mohammed Shakur says racists aren't brainwashed, and he's saying that in regards to me. Mohammed also says they know exactly what they're doing, but do they know why they're doing it? Do they lie? Not all the time.
I don't know.
I think a lot of that shit is taught, and that's what I refer to as brainwash.
I don't know. I don't know if people are racist. I don't know if they know they're racist all the time. Like, I don't know if they know they have a harmful prejudice. You don't really know. Some people really believe it. Like, you have someone said, we're not racist. We just don't like black people. One person said, they just learn how to behave. We can let them over here. Right. So people, it's always going to be a reason, right? It's always going to be that whistle.
Yeah.
Right. The Emmett Till whistle. It's always going to be that, but the black boy whistle and the white boy whistle is end up, is a little bit different,
Right.
So we don't know. We don't know if they really know that they acting like that. It's always going to be a thing. It's always going to be, he was trying to go into the house. Always going to be, I thought it was a gun. It's always going to be, all these things against black people and poor people.
Right.
So we're free,
So we're free. So HB2N says Diallo's doorway. Ms. Marioli says seeking clarity. So I get the free trial today, and I will have the ability to view your work the duration of my trial any hour of the day. Yes, Miss Ravioli.
Yes, on demand.
Get a subscription to HBO Max, and you have it for free for 7 days.
On demand.
Just go to watch the video on demand whenever you're ready.
Look at HBO. Look at what they do for us. Won't HBO do it?
Laura Bell says, great question, Miss Ravioli. Franchise says, salute to you, sir, and congratulations. But then he says, but then he goes on to say, but this brother say maskies.
Yes, I said maskies. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm a first generation American, and I really think that some of the things in this English language don't make no sense. It should be maskies. It should be, the apostrophe after the S thing. That's whack to me. So I take freedom wherever I can find it. So yes, maskies.
Yeah, it wasn't our language to begin with, so we could do
bring your masks. Bring your masks. Masks.
Redemption song says accuser, and we're
right.
Speaking of Charlotte Reed and Jessica Reed, which other people threw her name in the chat. Laurel says the Jessica Reed story is something I would invest in, brother.
They scared me though. Your whole stream scared me. I was testing. They made me not I want to do it. I ain't gonna hold you. They scared me.
What part?
Just like it's been done already, and it's all this shit is hard, bro.
Well, let me say,
it's like it ain't easy to do. No, it ain't easy to do shit that people know a story or love someone. It's hard. Like you put in, like Honcho said, like you putting your stuff on the line, and it's tough. So any little bit of like feedback that says like nah, it gets kind of like scary. You like what? Maybe I won't do it because it's like 4 years of my life, right, and all of my money, and you can't get it back. So
let me say this. I agree with what you said earlier, and this show lives by it, right? So we talk about current events and sometimes current-ish events, but we do it with our panel, and we always break it down, and we use the different personalities and the different opinions and facts, sometimes facts that we can put on the table to help the audience reach their conclusion. But we're not talking about news that's not already in the news. We're literally reading the news like we're all reading the morning paper or watching the news together, and we're talking about it. And I say all of that to say this: people want the voices and or the people that tell the stories. That's what people are attracted to. So the story could be already out there, but they might want to hear us speak on it, right? Yeah. And the same with a documentary. If I'm already a fan of your documentaries, I want to hear how you tell this story or how you, bring it forth on screen. So I wouldn't I wouldn't let that deter you. You know what I mean? Based on that. Yeah, it could be other people who tell the story, but at the end of the day, we want to hear the way you tell the story. And that's what it seems to be your niche right now, telling these stories, telling our stories. So I would say, if that's something you want to do, don't let that deter you. But, I think you probably should do it. But Magazine says, I'm going to be honest. I thought the dude, Charlemagne, was into guys. That doesn't mean he wouldn't rape a young woman, especially early in his life. Keenan Kong's Jessica's story we already told about that. We already read that. And then HB2 said, damn, Logic got an OnlyFans.
Word.
I don't got an OnlyFans, bro. I don't have an OnlyFans. I don't know what part of the conversation made you say that. I think you said that in regards to us following each other or something.
The CashApp. You had mentioned the CashApp.
I think it's the following thing. I said I had other pages, but I meant other Instagram pages. I have like 3 Instagram pages, so I have to follow him from the other 2. We weren't talking about OnlyFans. I don't have a OnlyFans. I mean, I subscribed to a couple, for research purposes. A couple times, but that was only for a trial run, like we said with the HBO. The first month, and I was out of there. Anyway, Laurel says, choke, no joke, didn't do a good job, in my opinion, with the Jessica Reed story. So that was him just basically vlogging on it. We're talking about an actual documentary. So I don't know.
I don't know. I got a homegirl that got connected to. I might, but yeah, I shouldn't even mention this shit.
Right. So
move on from that. No more comments about that shit.
Right. Keenan Khan said, respect in regards to your answer to that shit. So that's the last thing about that. So magazine says, if you can go, oh no, more comments on that.
Yeah. I know what I'm up against.
Mills Lane says LGBTQ community would like a documentary about that boxer who claimed to be drugged into gay porn. Have you heard about that?
No, who is that?
I think at very least we might have to do a story on that. Mills Lane, if you can send us that, we definitely would like to talk about that on the show at least. Magazine also says this is such a lie, man. Hillary Clinton was a gold girl. Look it up. Trump.
She was. Yeah.
Trump is nothing like them. So maybe you misunderstood something he said because nobody claimed different. And as you can see, they agree. He agrees with you. So I don't know what you're referring.
Right. I think Trump and Goldwater have had comparisons today. Trump and Barry Goldwater, who never became president.
Right. HB2N also says Dana is taking notes on that documentary. Mills Lane says facts. Magazine says that's just like, that's just one reason people like me hated hypocrite Hillary. She was a Goldwater girl and best friend with a KKK leader. Look it up. Wow. He goes on to say Trump is like JFK. Anyone hated I think he said, man, everyone hated JFK because he was a Catholic and wanted to expose secret societies in our government. Look it up. And then Muhammad says Trump like JFK, question mark, laughs at it, and asks that he do a few lines this morning. Magazine says Trump was like JFK, except he didn't need Sinatra or the mafia to win the election.
Wow.
Yeah, y'all throwing around that mafia word a whole lot on this thing. Like,
get me caught up.
Yeah. The mafia don't exist. I don't know what y'all talking about.
Don't get me caught up out
Not
here.
in my film. But Sammy the Bull is mentioned in the documentary though.
Okay. HB2N says JFK was also the first Democratic president blacks voted for because he was pushing civil rights. Blacks were being forced to follow. Magazine said they assassinated and hate any president who is a real deal. So I think we know where magazine stands right now. So and I think Muhammad is
who's the real deal. Is a real deal out there?
I never met one, but Muhammad Extra says and Trump is the real deal. He questions that.
Bro, because you know me outside of all this shit, I am not comfortable with any discussion talking about assassinating any of the presidents. So I like to move on from that line of comments. You already know me,
right?
And you know how they give it up. And I did done beat with Jalil Mutakim or something like that. For something I didn't do because I'm on that joint. So I would say that kind of like the Snoop Dogg conversation. A lot of people throw around a lot of words and a lot of concepts, because they're not really affiliated with nothing that could backlash to them, right? So it's a lot of things I don't even play around with.
Right. So Magazine says he has faith that Trump is the real deal. So like I said, I think it's safe to say Magazine stands. He's a Trump fan. And that's fine. We accept all personalities' opinions here.
I just have to divest from that myself personally. Like I don't know nothing about that.
Right. But we're definitely not going to read all of the back and forth between MAGA and
right.
We don't want to definitely do that. And but I will read this. It says, if you are only out to get the guilty white people, start with helping Haiti get the Clintons. Well, Haiti has a lot to a lot going on. We need reparations back from France. Brooklyn Honcho says 1996, the year Foxy dropped out.
My man Neil went to Dewey 96. Yeah.
All right, so a small world.
Muhammad Chief said,
Muhammad Mexico says only whites are guilty at this point.
Lord.
And then MAGA says Lovecraft was a hardcore racist.
Well, they actually mentioned that in the series that they have on HBO Max. They started that at the beginning of the series, saying that he was a hardcore racist, and that's why he said that he still appreciated the work that he created.
So I'm gonna try to filter these comments so we can get through them now. Precious says racism, tribalism, and segregation are natural. HB2 also says my great.
You can rewind that. I know somebody gotta go. I know I don't gotta go, but can you rewind that? Racism and tribalism, segregation. No, it's not. It's not true. Separation might be natural. separation and segregation, two different things. Segregation is a political policy, right? So you could be separate, but not be segregated. So that's it's a very important thing that I want to say. Is something very important that Malcolm also said. You know, it's like dealing with separate but equal, right? It's different than segregation. You know, having a lack of access and the penalties that are involved in a lack of access. Like it's kind of like saying apartheid is natural. You know, and it's not. Malcolm was definitely for integration of schools, right? But still wanted to separate people. It's a nuance. So I get that, like, you know, we animals and everything. Tribalism, I definitely agree with, but segregation, something that is not natural by definition. And I say by definition, hopefully that you assume that I really could just like flip the definition like that. I can't, but just remember my face. I said very seriously, by definition, segregation is not natural.
All right, so V,
Salute,
I don't know.
Salute.
V, do you have to leave now or?
Yes, I do. I do have to head to work, but I really appreciate you coming on here and telling this story. I really think it's important for people to see. I'm definitely going to be watching this tonight as soon as I get home from work, because it's a reality that I think needs to be relived so people cannot forget.
No doubt.
And let's connect about the story of your family. I think that maybe you should knock that out.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to follow you on IG, and you know, I'm going to start to actually try to, you know, map things out and see how this could really work out, because it's a long time coming and they need to get it done.
No doubt. No.
Thank you guys so much. You guys have a great day.
Yeah, you do the same, and I will see you tomorrow morning.
Yes, indeed. All right.
So me and Victorious will get to the rest of these comments. I will try to weed some of them out, so we're not reading any back and forths. But HB2N says, and this is a personal story, so I'm definitely want to take it serious. Says my great Grammy said white folks was cool with her all around her way. She used to tell me it was separate, but the fast food spots is where blacks and whites got together in church.
That's real and hilarious. It's real though, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, that they got together in those places.
Yeah.
Maga says, read the real title of that Darwin Origin of the Species. He classified Africans as basically another species, but these creep scientists love him and teach about him in public school.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely something that they used to do. Scientists claim that we were not human, etc. HB2N says every other race is cool with having their own communities in America. Black folks got manipulated into believing that's racist.
No, sir. No, sir. May I?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I say no, sir. It's like my perspective. Having our own community is not racist, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you go to another community and you become unsafe, that is racist, right? When we all have different communities, not racist. When the communities of certain ethnicities are impoverished, that's racist, right? So when Ed Koch, former mayor of New York, before Dinkins, he was in the 80s. What he would do in neighborhoods, this is like fact, this is super fact.
Right.
Like they didn't even hide it. What he would do is pull sanitation routes, right, from certain neighborhoods, like a Brownsville in East New York.
Is that like what they did in the Bronx, where they wasn't picking up the trash in the Bronx?
I can't speak about the Bronx. I in particular, I just know in Brooklyn and Brownsville this was going on, but I would imagine this happened all over the city, right? That is racism, right? When you have in certain communities, you have, so that's that. And that's without going to the police, right? Because we're not going to get into the rabbit hole of who does crime more. Of course, police is there, but just the personally, impoverishing of communities because of their race. That is racism.
So I think I don't think he called it racist. I think he said that we got manipulated into believing that's racist.
Right, but I'm saying we don't believe that's racist. I don't think that anyone thinks that because we have black neighborhoods that's racist. We love Black Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
They never say that's racist, right? So no one believes that, right? No, I don't. Not that I know of, right?
Well,
no one believes that having our own is racist, right? It's the fact that when we do have our own, it's burned down. When we do have our own, it's because we're not allowed to go anywhere else. We're redlined, right? If I wanted to go, somewhere, they're not going to rent to me, right? So story. I wanted to go somewhere, right? That in a neighborhood where they wanted to gentrify, right? It hasn't worked this yet. It's a co-op, and I came with at enough money in the bank. My credit at that time was 804. You know what I'm saying? Across the board, I had one of 803. And I had three references. I had a reference from a person who worked in Homeland Security. A bank VP, and some others I ain't gonna mention. And it's like, and the guy whose job was to give it to the co-op board said he didn't think I was serious. Now I can't say that's racist, right? But there's something called redlining, right? And redlining is something that it's illegal now, right? But it's
legal,
right? There's just the de facto redlining, where even nowadays, there are people who, where I'm at now, not where I'm at right now, but where I live, is that people frown upon, as you could say, people who rent to people of color in the neighborhoods. You know what I mean? So having the community itself, no one believes that is racist, but it's like what comes with having our community and why we can't get out of that community. That is the racist part, and I don't think anyone believes it's as simple as it's like we got different hoods. We just don't have, we can't, what you doing over here? You niggas doing over here? What you said, right? Is even if they didn't hate black men, even if they loved LL Cool J and whoever was out in '89, EPMD and all that, the very fact is, what y'all doing over here? We heard there was some niggas coming over here, goddamn, to Gina's party, which is around the corner, not even there. Show me your papers, nigga. Right? That's what we saying is is racist, that apartheid factor. But yeah, so I'm not at conflict with HB and 2 is saying, is that little nuance is very important, that our cries have more complexity than just thinking that. Tribalism is cool and everything, but when one tribe, invades, like, nah, I ain't with that. You can have forces come from another land and tribe and control and police, the other tribes. That is unnatural without war being involved. Right. So we're going to scroll back up, right, and we can talk about racism, tribalism, segregation. Is a natural precursor to war. Then maybe, but I ain't for wars. I love peace, and only a fool one bloodshed. And so, but thank you for letting me say my piece. HB to win. No disrespect to you. Is that one little line I want to speak on that, and I got the mic.
And definitely, war deplenishes. Throw that out there. War.
Yeah, I want no war. We've been at war, but we don't want no war.
Malcolm X says, pressure, racism is natural to whites. Tribalism was never a thing. As black people, we simply disagreed. We simply disagreed. It was outsiders that threw a label on our disagreements.
Interesting.
And Pressure says, fully acclimating to the language and religion of your oppressor equals complete domination.
Mascuses, 100%. Like I be wondering, like, who was the first black dude or black woman to be like, no, you got to say it like this. Fuck out here with that shit. I'm so ashamed.
Right.
And I'm old enough to speak, several other languages, but as I'm gonna speak this language, I'm gonna speak it my way. I'm gonna speak it how I feel it. I'm not rebelling against nothing, but I just be wondering, like, no, you gotta wear your pants like that. Who was the first, slave to just like cracked on the other cats in the slavery thing? Like, no, you gotta they spells it like this.
Right.
But so, mastices. I say it because it's a bastard language, as we all know.
Right.
And I studied Latin for 5 years, so I know that the language, but it's like, yo, that's it. I get hype on the language. Right. But last thing, my mother though, she said that it's because I don't respect. She said I have a problem with authority. That's what she says. So I don't know. Maybe it's just that.
And may she rest in power.
Yeah, true. Thank
you. She's a sweet woman. And strong. Mohammed Shakur says HB exactly. Whites were cool with her. That doesn't mean those same were cool with more of our people. HB12 says, I mean, her and my great granddad had 11 kids, so it didn't seem like racism really affected their lives or happiness. Sent all their kids to college too. Salute to her. Word. Antoinette says, I would definitely watch the Jessica Reed documentary. Hey, there you go. You gotta.
I ain't doing it. Y'all told me I'm cool. I'm cool like that. I'm dead ass cool. I'm gonna shoot her though. I'm gonna shoot her, but I'm not doing a whole film about her.
The interview. HB2N says, seems like blacks are limited more now than we were before civil rights. And Pressure asks him how exactly, and he answers, we had our own leagues, our own communities, our own banks.
I agree with that.
And our own homes. If you ask me, it's more racist now than before civil rights.
I agree with that. I'm with. See, I knew me and the brother was on the same page somewhere, and I agree with that 100%. HB2N, yeah, 100%. We lost a lot, you know, with
integration.
Right. But you know, that's what it is.
Yeah. Mohammed Shakur says, I'm not even going to cast judgment on the racism my grandparents dealt with, but I will say that it was very different time. Keep in mind that KKK members were running rampant. Still running rampant.
So relative, right? So if like back in grandma's time, when people was getting, well, we getting hung now, but you know, just getting really hung and the crosses are burning, right? If someone just like doesn't buzz me in the building, it's like that ain't shit. So you know, yeah, we very privileged now, you know. So we think in terms of what it looks like. We call everybody Karen like it's cute and shit. You know, it ain't cute. You know what I mean? But definitely it's so relative of what the worst aspects of racism was in that era. There's a lot of things that they might have ignored because at least these white folk ain't at our doorstep. You know? Back then it's like we can't be in their schools and schools suck over here. We don't have any resources over here. When I went to school, a teacher told me that I should be happy that slavery is just because I could be in Africa. This is I was in 7th grade. That's racism within the school system. So you know, it kind of it's in tears.
Right.
But the more we like talk about racism, the more we try to explain that it's true, the more that we were distracted, you know, from the work. So.
Distracted from the actual work, right? HB2N says, before civil rights, blacks had leverage. Now we have collective. Now we have collectively. Now I guess he meant now all we have collectively is hashtags and BLM T-shirts.
Not true, but I feel you. Not true, but I feel you though. He's messing with me. Every other comment, me and him, we gonna rock, and then we not gonna rock. I respect that. I respect that.
And wristbands and black BLM wristbands.
Right.
Right. Magazine says, I am Sicilian. I am allowed to throw that word around.
Not me, Papa or sis. I'm not saying that M word because you know, no, it's not how I rock.
Right. Mohammed Shakur says, as in they actively murdered our people. Laura Bell in the league says that boxer lied about being drugged into doing gay porn. Just looked it up. Okay. Precious says he was a boxer, a Philly boxer who made a gay sex tape, denied it, then claimed he was drugged, then came out as gay and said he'll beat your ass if you have anything funny to say about him.
I remember that.
So HB2N says, yeah, the KKK was created by the Democratic Party to force blacks to believe they needed whites to succeed. We got tricked. Muhammad goes on to say Haiti has way more than the Clintons to worry about, but okay. Magazine says, I think the Haitians put the voodoo on the Clintons. Well, it didn't work yet. Then.
I don't talk about voodoo either.
HB2N says, in reality, while whites, we have a Great Depression. I don't know what whites we mean, maybe winning. I don't know, but it says
whites were having great. That's my man. I'm telling you, whites were having great depression.
In reality, while whites were having a Great Depression, blacks were having their first millionaires. The KKK was created to stop the progress, and they still stopping the progress.
That's half true.
You want to elaborate?
No, it's half true. Like just definitely when there's a depression, we were flourishing. Some people were flourishing. Some of us were in depression as well. The part that's not true is the KKK was not started to stop that progress. KKK was started a long time before that, and I also think the KKK as an organization is respectfully, is overrated in these days and times. Talk about the KKK so much, but there's so many more. It's like when people talk about gangs, oh, the Bloods and the Crips. Like, yo, you are so outdated.
Right.
as far as the nuances and the amount of organizations out there. So the KKK, we need to stop talking about the KKK because people who we need to worry about don't even respect the KKK. You know what I mean? So to speak. Yeah. So it's just a half true.
All right. Mohammed says the KKK was around before the Depression, just under different names like Black Legion. HB2N says the Great Depression is when it was at its height because blacks were working and whites weren't. Preacher says peace to y'all, peace to you. Maggot says yup. It's like when the doctors and other men of power started the Spanish Inquisition to kill people who threatened their business. Pressure says we are a different species. We're human. HB2N says part of that hatred came from Hollywood too, with the racist movies they used to make about blacks. And one of the first films, Birth of a Nation, where KKK was heroes in that film, and black people were looked at as savages, were portrayed as savages in that film. Loyvel says, what's his IG? If you look at the screen right now, it's at Notorious Was Here. Keenan says HB2N, where was your grandmother from? HB2N lets us know that his grandmother was from Mississippi, moved to Ohio, and that's when she started having children. Muhammad asks about leverage and then says, if we did, then police terrorism wouldn't be a thing now. Laugh out loud. HB2N says,
I wasn't saying that we have. I think that was a comment to me saying that. Was he commenting to him saying we had leverage, or me saying that we have leverage? I wonder.
I think I'm not sure. I think I know where the conversation started when HB2N said we had more leverage.
Right back then.
But
he's talking about now.
Right. So I'm not sure exactly where that's coming from. But listen, man, I hope we gave you did justice with this interview.
Yeah.
It looks like the audience is definitely interested in the actual film. So I feel like, thank you for talking to my audience. It's pretty small compared to some of the other outlets you've done your press with. So I want to thank you for coming in.
That's good because I gave it up the exclusive.
Right. You got to do a more of a grassroots type of situation here.
You don't edit, right? Because Charlamagne gonna come and get me. He gonna put a bag on my.
Nah, we're not worried about Charlamagne over here. We come from a specific sector of YouTube that is a little bit undefeated, I'll just say, without going into too much. But we definitely don't, frighten away from talking about, people when they behind some crazy shit, We
had leverage, bro. We had leverage.
He put a comment.
He's saying we had leverage. Very short period between 63 and 65 we had leverage.
Okay, which is also to go to your future project, right? So what's that we should be looking out for? What's the name of the film we should be looking out for?
Don't look out for that because it's called it's called We Have No Leaders, but ain't gonna be no time soon. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Ain't gonna be no time soon.
But definitely want people to go check out Storm Over Brooklyn.
And digging for Weldon Irvine too.
And digging for Weldon Irvine. Where can we find that film? Is it on your website? Is it on the website? Or?
Nah, you know what? It's actually going to be in this festival, the We Out Here Festival in London. So if you look at We Out Here Festival, I think you have to register in order to see it. I'm actually doing an interview next I'm doing a panel for that when we hang up actually now. But it's Weldon, WELDONIRVINE film. It's me on Instagram, and you can check out how to see it. That's a pretty good film. It got Q-Tip in it. It got Bobito in it, Layla Hathaway in it. Have you seen it, Logic?
Of course. When you did your when you showed the book, remember I did a gang of parties and
thank
Yeah,
you.
for both days. Yeah,
Thank you. You
I
did.
put a lot of people onto that film. Definitely, I was really. If I remember right, the film was like 2 hours.
It's
But
hour and 54 minutes, right?
yeah, but at the same time, I enjoyed every piece of it. I couldn't see it in person though. I forget where I was. I was traveling when you had it at the last film festival, but I gave brother Muhammad, who's in the comments now.
Yeah. Oh, that's him. Oh, what up?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's my rider right there. He held me down that day in Harlem.
Yep.
We had technical difficulties. Yeah, salute.
So I was definitely traveling that day, but I gave him my ticket and said he definitely showed out for the fam and held things down. That's what he does. We're of a like mind like that. We don't agree on everything, but he's gonna have his own show coming to this channel very soon. And right now, like I said yesterday, you can see him on the show on the channel called Rebuilding the Black Family. Definitely, where's the love? Rebuilding the Black Family. So definitely look for that on this channel. Once again, look for Storm Over Brooklyn, the story of Yusef Hawkins, and Digging for Weldon Irvine. And definitely go to Victorious's IG and you can follow him and get the links. And I'll put the links also in the description. I'll update it and I'll put the links in the description. Magazine says, I will tell people about your film. Salute to you for that. Every word of mouth is definitely appreciated and needed out here. It all counts. Redemption also says, great discussion with Victorious.
Thank you.
Thank you for pulling up, Redemption, and we appreciate that. So that makes me feel better. I'm glad that we did a good discussion and we represented your film in a good light here at the Morning Rant. Sometimes we bug out. So I think we were on our best behavior today. And magazine says, nah, man, Creepy Joe gonna get y'all for Charlemagne. Joe Biden, the sniffing the head and all that. Joe got a lot of shit with him. HB2 also says, Keenan says HB2N, they got along better back then because we weren't considered equals or a threat to their livelihood. And HB2N responds, we can't ever be equal. And then says, we bring more to the table when in our right minds. Brooklyn Honcho says, play that Pink Champagne by Mr. Motherfucking Esquire. I'll play that after, but I'm going to play first. Shout out to Mr. Motherfucking Esquire. But I'm going to play first. I'm going to play the video directed by Victorious, titled Yusef Hawkins by our homie Ness, who some of you might know from his group previously, the A-Likes, and also his other group called Weekend Money. And if you don't know any of these groups, check it out. Miss Ravioli says, I can't wait to see the documentary to Victorious. Shaharia says, I look forward to that. That's what's up. And we also look forward to Shaharia's show, Silence Kills, will be coming to us this week.
What's that about?
It's about domestic violence.
I love it.
Shaharia is an advocate for domestic violence victims as well as survivors. She herself was a survivor of a horrific situation where her ex stabbed her multiple times. She was paralyzed, and she survived that. And to speed up to the good part, she's actually a mother now. So she went from being paralyzed to walking again to, advocating for victims and getting her, the wind back beneath her wings. And now she's actually even a mother. She was able to. So salute to Shaharia and congratulations again. Lord Vell says, I love documentaries, so I will be supporting the brother. That's what's up. And Antoinette says, great interview. Thank you all for being in attendance. We appreciate you. Victorious, thank you again for pulling up. I really appreciate it. I know your schedule is super busy and my show is super new, but thank you for, giving us some your time and telling us about this film, because I definitely think we all need to see it. And I'm really proud of you. You know what I mean? To say the least. Like, I'm super proud of you, but at the same time, I'm not surprised. I'm proud, but I'm not surprised. I always believe in people, and I believe them to be who they are. So knowing your work ethic, your character, how you move in the past, even when we worked together, I seen firsthand how your professionalism and your work ethic. So I'm not surprised that you're at where you're at in your path, but I believe we haven't done our greatest work yet, and that we have a lot more ahead of us. And I look forward to seeing what the future has to bring. We'll go ahead and play this video, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This has been the Morning Rant.
Okay, thank you.
Peace.
Good evening. A black teenager is shot to death in what police say was a racially motivated mob attack in Bensonhurst.
The dead youth was identified as 16-year-old Yusef Hawkins of Hagman Avenue in East New York.
What happened took place at this corner on August 23rd, 1989.
And some lady, she was screaming.
I don't think there's any racial problems in Bensonhurst.
You see Yusef's face, you see Diane and Moses' face. Not just a face on the wall on Verona Place. Right off Fulton and Bed-Stuy, you know the place. You know that mural, flowers all around the face. Years go by, that face still here. Years go by, that pain still there. On your birthday every year, still tears. Her mother shouldn't have to bury her son, it's no fair. Yusef Hawkins, on that day the sky darkened. Gunshots in the dark, all for nothing. So much hate in this world, it's disheartening. Came to buy a car, not a coffin. Wrong place, wrong time, right? It's like 20/20 hindsight. But we still losing lives, right? All these years later, so y'all tell me when the time's right. Nobody's mama should ever have to bury her baby. Should ever have to bury her baby. Should never ever have to bury her son, no. Nobody's mama should ever have to bury her baby. Should ever have to bury her baby. Should never ever have to bury her son, no. Another story on the news, another face on the mural. So many lives lost, some you don't even hear of. Pain in the mother's eyes, hate in the killer's heart. Tears rolling down her face, staring in the mirror. 16 years old, so many years ago, we still see your glow. Seasons come, seasons go. Your mural painted so Yusef, we still see your soul, you know. Your mural painted so Yusef, we still see your soul, you know. Your mural painted so Yusef, you still here, bro. Nobody's mama should ever have to bury her baby. Should ever have to bury her baby. Should never ever have to bury her son, no. Nobody's mama should ever have to bury her baby. Should ever have
never
to bury
forget Yusef Hawkins. To that end, we will rename the street in honor of a young, budding giant.
A body's always dropping, and all our babies watching. They chase him down and blocked him off and lashed him while they shot him. First they chased us down, locked us up to profit off of cotton. And they chased us down, hung us up and smiled while someone shot it. The universe is listening, but the devil's always plotting. So your prayers ain't loud enough because he only talks in violence. A body's always dropping, and all our babies watching. They chased him down and blocked him off and lashed him while they shot him. First they chased us down, locked us up to profit off of cotton. And they chased us down, hung us up and smiled while someone shot it. The universe is listening, but the devil's always plotting. So your prayers ain't loud enough because he only talks in violence. A secret code of silence that they use to maintain dominance. Those votes don't come with bullets, so tell Biden fuck about it. If a nigga take your chain, you go kill him. In the streets, that's crystal clear. Massa put them chains on you, give you 100 years. The heaviest chains be the ones that you can see there. The ice so cold, blind your third eyes, optics, American pie a la mode, and everybody's riding. They shot him on his couch while he was eating Haagen-Dazs. They even shot her in her sleep, and she was out there saving lives. They shot Tamir for playing, he shot them just for praying. Then the cops went out and copped them Burger King with extra fries. The cops the KKK and they ain't even trying to hide. I went and copped the big AK and then I got it supersized. I grabbed my vest up off the dresser, laced my boots up extra tight, kissed my wife and hold my daughter, hope I make it through the night. But if I don't, won't go out bleeding, I'll go out squeezing. Just like Gavin Long and Micah X, they both have valid reasons. When you shackled in the pressure, color justified your death. They yelling at you, stop resisting with their knee inside your neck. And that's just some shit that I'm supposed to sit back and accept. Fuck a check, ain't no rest until I get that cracker's head, nigga.
Blast that cat in your mouth.
The Klan no longer just wears white hoods and white sheets, but now the Klan wears black robes and sits on the judge's bench to rule from the courtroom. The Klan now wears blue uniform, carries a badge or a shield and a legal quote-unquote weapon. 2 or 3 brothers so bad, I'm blind, I'm crip. Damn white men come, you throw the guns under the damn car, throw the damn guns in the bushes, you make 50 niggas stand up against the wall, one peck of wood. I don't never read about no drive-bys at the police station. I never heard of you shooting at the police station and busting on a cracker while they eat Dunkin' Donuts. You ain't got the heart, but you'll kill your own.
Attention homeowners, can we use your home to showcase our next generation metal roofing system?
Fire, nigga! I'm on fire right now, fuck, nigga! I had the biggest comeback, nigga! Niggas thought it was over with for me, nigga! Y'all tried to count me out, nigga! I ain't forgot about that shit! Y'all niggas think I forgot, nigga! I ain't forgot about none of that shit! So I'm back with a chip on my fucking shoulder, nigga!
Wrote this with my eyes closed, or rose in Moscato. Intuition, inner visions flow from out the cosmos. Niggas ask me how I made it, I be damned if I know. I just went with my soul, and the rest just follow. She's a good girl, fuck that bitch, I'd rather deal with dollars. Say no to CashApp, I ain't tricking, bitch, you must be psycho. But I'm prone to lie though, just don't tell all my bros. Ice roll gelato in the Bronto, so I got the sky close. Damn, it's raining, grab my cane and pass my Prada poncho. The boots was leather with the tassels, those the Randy Machos. Goggles, Ferragamo, condos big as Costco. I popped the rhino, then she swallowed like it's Mr. Sacco. Mirror, mirror, who's the illest? Please don't tell me I know. Mirror, mirror, who's the realest? Wait, don't tell me I know. Mirror, mirror, who's the rarest? Please don't tell me I know. Modern life like Rocco, but I still pray to Shango. Mirror, mirror, who's the illest? Please don't tell me I know. Mirror, mirror, who's the realest? Wait, don't tell me I know. Mirror, mirror, who's the rarest? Please don't tell me I know. I devour my goals, and that's word to Gaucho. Rebel, outlaw, reckless, vato, ghetto, desperado. Aim the Draco, eating tacos, take your breath like Tyclos. Adjacent to Van Gogh, I'm chasing my shadow. The pain is a shackle, embrace it for battle. In the gym for 7 weeks, I feel like Boris Kojo. I mean Cujo with a new hoe, sober watching Kuso. With my old hoe, I forgot I fuck my hoes in duos. Bobo throws in 2 hoes, loopholes out with pool holes. That piece of coupon for designer, Gucci coat was 2-tone. School old Parasuco, shoot like Tony Kukoc. The Jama Samson, no Delilah, put that on my tombstone. Mirror, mirror, who's the illest? Please don't tell me I know. Mirror, mirror, who's the realest? Wait, don't tell me I know. Mirror, mirror, who's the rarest? Please don't tell me I know. I devour my goals, and that's word to Gauchos.
Trouble hearing? Don't skip this one.
Somebody explain it to me. What does this little face mean? Somebody tell it to me. Crazy. I must have struck a nerve, man. I had to. I don't know what I said, but I clearly struck a nerve.
Y2K shit. Wake up in the morning, The TV flash the signal, and ESP could hear the transistors in my earlobes. Cameras in the windows, cameras in my laptop, cameras in my windows. Won't move, they take a snapshot. Know somebody's watching, like MJ and that other dude. In your DMs, emails to mama, they check them too. Spank bang favorites and Amazon wish list. Algorithms, trigger words, they put me on they hit list. The 60s was a long time ago, but Abby Hoffman know we lost the war with capitalism, and now they trap the show. In the world where they commodify revolution, say you smart when you dumb, and when you smart, say you stupid. Likes and retweets, smileys and groupthing. We chasing dreams that really mean nothing, but somehow define everything. Seems every day that I'm forgetting how to feel. Artificial soul trying to quantify what's still real. I sit alone in my room on my laptop, wondering if I'm a sheep too. I look around on the train and I'm thinking, am I the only one who has a clue? Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm paranoid, or maybe I'm lost, maybe I got it wrong, but I can't shake the feeling of this nosedive. We're moving closer to Orwellian. Inksock regimen, quelling rebellions. War is peace, freedom is slavery. Ignorance, heaven, the dollar's God. Consumerism is the new religion we can't afford. Still pawning all our principles to get it and wanting more. Meanwhile in Darfur, chemical warfare slaughters newborns with amnesty over once cosmic soul. While we binge watching power, somehow I started to see that I wasn't watching TV, the TV was watching me. Babysitting, doing data analysis while I sleep. Suspended animation faces, the matrix is battery. Why these racist corporate Satans vacation in Waikiki? On the yacht performing fuck buck rituals by the sea. Manipulating everybody, they feed us live to the beast. So rack a lamp on appetite, protein powder for greed. Devour your dreams, replace it with compliancy and memes. Skynet one, somehow it seems we becoming machines. Mr. Macintosh, Johnny Mnemonics in search of we. Fall 7 said they listening while you driving your V. Eric Snowden said they watching you while you beating your meat. Walls closing in, pulling our privacy out from our feet. I think it's time that we come together, one that's zealous. Merge the black, white, and brown with the wisdom of the elders. Cause when we all unite, there ain't shit that they could tell us. Put a fist in the air one time if you a rebel and then say, I sit alone in my room on my laptop, wondering if I'm a sheep too. I look around on the train and I'm thinking, am I the only one who has a clue? Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm paranoid, or maybe I'm lost, maybe I got it wrong, but I can't shake the feeling of this nosedive, this nosedive.
But if you get to what the elites are into, their God says, you've got to get rid of these humans. I'm going to give you eternal life. I'm going to give you technology and this divine code.
Living in a simulation where the people's orchestrated speak the truth amongst the lost, and they still hate it. Why debate it? Any statement that brings changes, shit is major. How they cages, chemtrails and 5G. We need illegal herbs, not these crooked pharmacies. Please, snakes is working hard to split our families and hex our family tree. Paranoid, surrounded by some caucasoids on the train observing me, knowing damn well they propelling white supremacy. Reptilians blocking out these cosmic energies with distractive entertaining remedies. Walking amongst these zombies in these streets. See my people, dap them up. Remember that this shit's a dream and nothing's what it seems. Single mothers on the rise, niggas turning into bitches. Better recognize and forcing gay agendas right before our eyes. Rewiring and reconditioning the minds of little children, feeding lies, twisting paradigms. Hard for kids to see the signs updated by the ancients. Moving with the time, this shit's divine. Meet and greet with aliens all the time. They think I'm lying. See them flying saucers in the sky. Pedophiles up in the White House trying to keep us blind. Poison in our food supply. Object for them snakes just to stay alive. Fuck the enterprise. Universe beyond our side, and it's why stars align. Unlike evil dark energies from the other side trying to hijack minds.
Sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets
aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.